You go by Messiahs?
On here on TikTok, yeah, but if you want to know my name, it's Dakota.
What? Okay. You didn't have to do any kind of weird doxing or anything like that, but I mean, I just wanted that way I'm not calling you something you didn't want to be called. Okay. So, are you cool with Dakota? Is that fine?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Good name, though. I like that name. I know somebody named Dakota. Good guy. He's a pastor's son, actually. Anyways, the point is, so as far as my statement goes here, me and my data science co-partner, this is our official stance, is that Jesus and Paul, even the natural versions of them presented by the New Testament, did not exist. It's because they don't actually line up, like the stories don't actually line up with the first century, as well as just kind of, they're not logically consistent, so they contradict some, and they're written in third person omniscient, which is like you're able to hear thoughts or you're able to see behind walls, that kind of thing.
Right, I understand.
So yeah. So based on that, even the natural Jesus and Paul as presented by the New Testament would not be possible. So they didn't exist. That's what I would say. I mean, did you believe that they did exist?
I mean, yeah, I believe that somebody did exist that those stories were based off of. You know.
Okay. Any particular evidence for that person?
Um, the evidence for it, is pretty hard if you exclude the Bible as evidence. You have some historic writings which do account for a man being crucified or a man named Jesus or that they called whoever they were talking about.
What writings would that be?
Um,
What would
there's
be?
writings from Josephus. I mean, I don't save that information on the top of my head like that. So it's
Right.
not like I can give you that, but
All right.
what I believe, if you ask me,
Uh-huh.
okay, is that Jesus existed, okay,
Okay.
and he was a real person,
All right.
and he taught the Torah, he taught the commandments and the covenant of God, of Jehovah or Yahweh, okay,
Okay.
and that is basically the teachings that I see in like Moses and David and the prophets is the specific Torah, the covenant, the commandments, and knowing the name of God. Okay,
So
and
would
then
he really be teaching the Torah if he said, like, no one comes to the Father except through me? Would that be Torah based?
um kinda
Are you
it's the
sure
way
about
you
that?
look at it. Yeah, because
Where in the
here's the
Torah does
thing.
it
Here's
allow
the
for
thing.
somebody to say that you have to follow them in order to actually get to God?
Okay, so here's the thing.
Hmm.
In the Torah, God says, "You do not go into any place, not to give your offerings to them, not to follow them, not to bow down to them, not to serve them, but only to the place which I have chosen, only to the priest which I have chosen."
Okay.
And so
Well, Jesus is
when
not from any kind of like priestly line, so that wouldn't make any sense. If he was preaching from the Torah, he would have to be from the Aaronic line, and he isn't.
right, but the point is that God's trying to say that, you can't just go to any church who says that they worship God and serve God, but they don't know his name
That doesn't have
and they
anything
don't
to
keep
do with what I asked. How would that be preaching the Torah if you're saying the only way to get to God is through me?
because imagine that you're that priest that God
He's
chooses,
not a
right?
priest.
The only way you're going to
He's
know
not a
the truth
priest.
about Torah,
In fact, the Torah
that's in your
explicitly
opinion.
tells you who a
We're
priest
we're ta-
is.
we're not talking about your opinions right
No,
now.
the
We're just
Torah
talking
tells you
about
who a priest is, and it has to come from Aaron, and Jesus doesn't. So I don't know what to tell you. Like,
there's many priests that come from other lines, dude.
what? Who?
The
Name one.
point is,
Name one.
the po- dude,
Name
I'm not
one.
gonna have that
You
argument
just
with
said
you.
there's
Okay,
many
you
of them, and
want
you
to
can't
be
name one.
opinionated. I'm
I'm
telling you
not
what
being
my view
opinionated.
is, so
I'm
you
not
can get
being
it. Yes, you.
opinionated. You said that it's
Okay.
based off of the Torah. He's preaching the Torah, but he's explicitly saying things that would go against the Torah. So I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah,
So do
it's not
the
being
priests who
consistent
come
throughout the
from the
text.
tribe of Levi, are they specifically from Aaron?
The Levite
Do the
priests
priests who descend from Moses, are they specifically from Aaron?
descend
No.
from Moses. What are you talking about? Yes. What are you talking about?
You have Aaron as a priest, right?
The Aaron priest? Yeah, Aaron. Is Jesus even
Okay,
a
now who is
Levite?
Aaron's
Is
brother?
Jesus even a
Who is Aaron's
Levite?
brother?
Is Jesus even a Levite?
I mean, he could be.
Where? Where does it say he's a Levite?
It doesn't say that. The
Okay,
point
does it
is
give
that
a
those are
genealogy?
thousands of years apart.
Does it give a
Those are
genealogy for
thousands of
Jesus?
years apart.
Does it give a genealogy for Jesus in the text?
It does, but why
Okay,
do you
is
trust
Levi
that if
in
you say
either
he
of them?
doesn't exist?
No, it's an
You
internal
take
critique.
that book for
It's an
the
internal
evidence
critique
against him, but you say you don't even believe in him.
Listen. It's an internal critique. That'd be like saying, "Oh, hey, try to prove that Harry Potter didn't exist without ever referencing anything in the Harry Potter books." That's dumb as shit, and you should feel like shit for even suggesting that that is a bad argument. No, I'm obviously going to be using the Bible and the character that's found in the Bible to talk about whether or not the character in the Bible exists. What are you talking about? It's called an internal critique. And the internal critique is not only do we have like contradictory genealogies for Jesus, which is already showing that it's bullshit, but on top of that, neither one of them say he's from Levi. So what's going on here?
Yeah, but a priest does not just have to come from the tribe of Levi.
Name me one that didn't.
I don't have their names on my fucking head like that, dude.
Well, I don't know
I'm
why
just
you're
telling you,
saying
the
it
fact
with such
is that
confidence.
priests do not have to specifically come from the tribe of Levi or from Aaron.
Okay.
A
So
priest can
Jesus.
be whoever
So
God
when was
chooses.
Jesus made a priest?
When God chose him to be a priest.
When did God choose him to be a priest?
David is
What?
not chosen the people.
I think you got to get a
You
little closer to
understand
that
it,
Waffle
right?
House to get the Wi-Fi there.
Okay, sure. The prophet went up to him and said, "I'm going to." Whatever. The prophet went up to him and said, "I'm going to anoint you." Yes, because God told me to.
Who?
But the fact is that God chooses the anointing.
So
God
who
chooses,
anointed Jesus?
not priest.
Who anointed Jesus, and when did it happen? When did he become a priest?
It's the same thing. God.
When?
Okay, you read Isaiah 61 when Jesus
Sweet.
goes
Well, that's
into the
not Jesus.
synagogue and he says, "The Spirit
And
of
Jesus
the
isn't
Lord
in Isaiah
has come
61. That doesn't make any sense.
Still, the fucking point is that that's what he did. That's what he does.
Sweet. So when did Jesus? When does it
was
say that
better
Jesus
at
became
teaching
a priest?
Torah than you.
When did? Sweet. When did Jesus become a priest? What verse is that in any of the Gospels? Where does it ever call
The
him a
fact that
priest?
he says he's anointed by the Spirit of the Lord means he is an anointed priest.
Jesus says, "I was anointed."
Messenger.
But I was anointed
somebody
by the Spirit of
who
God.
was
Jesus
sent.
says that?
That's what he says.
Where does
Yeah.
he say that?
That's what he says when he reads it from the scroll of Isaiah 61.
When does he say
You
I
should
was
fucking know it, dude.
anointed? What
You're
verse
just,
is this?
No.
What verse is this? What verse?
It's in the fucking book.
What book?
You have it.
Which one?
You know it. You can fucking read it. Don't fucking play me like this.
He says I was
You could probably
anointed.
find it in Matthew.
I was anointed is what you're saying.
That's what he says when he's reading in the synagogue. He says he's reading from the scroll of Isaiah.
And he's saying I was anointed as a priest. Is that what he
He
says?
says, "The Spirit of Lord has come upon me."
To be a priest?
He says, "The Spirit of the Lord has
To be
come
a-
upon me."
to be
If
a
you know what that
priest?
means, you can infer the meaning that he is a priest, that he is a pastor, that he is somebody who was sent to give a message.
Okay, so are messengers and priests, are they the same thing?
It's inference.
No, messengers are explicitly not
What?
priests. That may be prophets.
I didn't say that the messenger was specifically a priest.
Cool. Well, you tried to make it synonymous. So where does he say I'm a priest? Where does he ever
They
call
are
himself a
given
priest?
the same duties in specific contexts. Okay,
A prophet and a priest?
is
A
still a
messenger and a
messenger.
priest?
A priest is still a messenger because he has to give the message. He has to give the law. He has to tell people about God's law. That makes him a messenger.
It doesn't
It's
say
not that he's a
anything.
specific
It doesn't say
messenger who God
anything
sends
whenever
out
he's reading
across the
Isaiah in the synagogue. He doesn't say
nations.
anything about how he's going to bring the law. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say that at all, actually. It doesn't say that I'm going to preach the law. It doesn't say I'm going to preach the Torah. It doesn't say I'm a priest. It doesn't say that at all. What it explicitly says is,
Right,
Spirit of the
that's
Lord
not
is
the point
upon
of
me because he
Isaiah
has anointed me to
61.
bring the good news to the poor. Okay.
Yeah, and what's the good news?
To the poor? Is that a priest? No, not the Torah. In fact, good news means
That God
gospel.
cares about you.
Like that would
more
be the
than
gospel, not the Torah. What do you think Torah
And
means?
that's good news, right?
Torah does not mean good news.
Hey,
Gospel means good news.
Don't much. He had mercy for your soul.
Sweet. So
Torah means teaching.
So no, gospel would mean good news. Torah means the law. So it does not say I came to bring the law
Torah
to the
means
poor.
Teaching.
Nope.
He said good news to the poor, and Torah means teaching, not law.
Okay. Yeah, well, it does mean the law. But that being said, as far as the law goes, he doesn't say I came to bring teachings or I came to bring the law or the Torah to the poor. It doesn't say that at all. It says
but
the gospel.
If you look past your stupidity and you understand what he's
reading?
Teaching, that is what he infers.
Sweet.
Like, can you read
back to his
between the
teachings,
lines?
when he says no one can come to the Father but through me, when is a priest allowed to say that? When is a priest allowed to say no one can come to God except through me?
I mean, it's the same way when Moses goes down to Mount Sinai and he's telling these people, and he's like, "What the fuck are you doing? You're supposed to be following me and the true God." It's basically
he says you're supposed to be following me and the true God.
Following all these other people and expect to be saved.
When does Moses say you have to follow me?
But that's inferred.
When does he?
It's inferred.
From
Stop
what?
being a
from
fucking
what?
dumbass. It's inferred.
From what? What does he say that you inferred it from? What's his line?
It's the entire teaching, the Torah.
The entire Torah is says, we have to follow Moses.
You shall not go to any church I have not chosen, nor shall you bow yourselves to any leader which I have not chosen, nor shall you bow yourselves to any kings or
meaning
gods,
Moses, or I meaning God?
You got to understand that Moses is the agent of God.
Sweet.
In this story,
so the I have not chosen, is that God or Moses?
It's both of them.
Oh, where does it say that?
The hand of Moses, right, is the right hand, the servant of God, Moses.
Cool.
The right
so
hand
when does it
God,
say that Moses is going to choose who you can bow to? Who? When does it say that?
Moses states in his writings who you are supposed to bow to.
And so he's telling them that he's going to pick who you bow to. That's what he says. It's not God, it's him choosing it.
He tells you who God is.
So Moses tells you what to believe, not God.
God stated who he is to Moses.
Oh, okay. So when he says I, is the I Moses, or is the I
believe this God?
Sweet. So is the I that he's writing down, is that God dictating, or is that Moses himself talking about himself?
I mean, in some cases, it's God's literal word, but in some cases,
so how did you determine when he says,
I
choose people? How did you determine that was Moses or God? Which one did you, what was the process of you choosing that?
I mean, that's God that.
That was God. Okay, so Moses isn't saying no one comes to the Father except through me.
He's saying he's agreeing with it. He's saying that's the true law. He's saying, yes, this is the law that you have to follow.
But nowhere in there do I feel safe to infer that Moses is saying no one can come to God except through me. In fact, it doesn't sound like you said anything that sounds like that.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really?
Nobody can come to God, the Father, except through me. Right? You cannot go to church and find truth. You cannot go to synagogue and find the truth. You cannot go to your stupid ass dad, your stupid ass mother, your stupid ass friends and ask them the truth, because they don't know the truth. But you can come to me, you can ask me the truth. I will tell you the truth, because I am the way, the truth, and that's how it works.
And this is Moses saying this. I'm the way,
except through me.
Like
that's
Moses said this.
In the same way, if I said to you that you do not go to another church and you do not serve them because it is in vain, unless I have chosen them, unless I have given them permission,
just to make
unless
sure
I have said that they were my church.
Yeah, and this I is
like
Moses.
The same thing. You can't go to that church and.
All right, so you're muted because you keep just kind of prattling on. You're not making any case. You're just kind of saying dumb shit. Again, the I is Moses, or the I is God, or the I is Jesus. Like, you are saying that Jesus is preaching the Torah, but nowhere in the Torah does Moses or anybody else say that, oh, hey, the only way to get through God is through this one person. That's not a thing. I don't know what you're talking about. So please provide the evidence of Jesus and his teachings lining up with the Torah when he says these things that are very clearly not what the Torah is saying. You can unmute. That's perfectly fine. Yeah, go ahead.
That's right. You really opens, right?
Man, your Wi-Fi is dog shit. Like, we can't hear but every other word, maybe.
They take for the word.
Like, we can't even really understand what you're saying. I assume that it's something stupid, but I mean, with your kind of takes, it makes sense that you would want to move out into the middle of nowhere where, you know, your voice can't be heard by the ear of man ever again. But we just don't know what you're saying, dude.
I don't care if you can. Hey.
Like, we can't even hear you. Like, you're going in and out. All right, well. If anybody wants to come up and maybe help this guy, because no idea. No joke. I have no idea what he was trying to say. No idea. Okay. But I did want to get over to YouTube. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube, you can click the link that's in the chat. You can come up here and we can have a conversation. The conversation or the guest request is on TikTok. I use TikTok to bring people up. And I apologize if you don't have a TikTok or you don't want to come up. There's not really much I can do because YouTube doesn't have that ability. But if you did want to come up, click the link that's in the chat. I'll make sure to put it in there really fast. If you don't have a TikTok, you can send a super chat and I will respond to it. I promise I will read it out loud and respond. There are a couple super chats already. $1.99 from the prototype says, Bree is here for a good time. Get that out of the way. Get that out of the way. There he goes. Bree. Bree. Lieutenant Bree. All right. So yes, for a good time. $4.99 from Gerd Engineer. Here we go. All right, everybody. Gerd Engineer has spoken. Let me give you the rundown of what he says here. All right. Gerd Engineer said, I had some delicious ice cream yesterday. I had some delicious ice cream yesterday and ended up spiking my sugars. I guess gorging on frozen dairy ain't so good for my gout. Okay, there is no guarantee that he has gout or really anything else except, I guess, possibly diabetes or something. But other than that, it's just, I mean, guys, please do not get me in trouble any more than I already sort of kind of am. I don't know. I'm not really in trouble. But anyways, thank you very much, Guard Engineer. And also, I don't know who you are. Don't want to know. And also, I guess, you know, there was that issue there with ice cream and the meltdown, if you will, yesterday. All right. The first person up here was Chris, the avocado eater.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey, I just want to say that Jesus and Paul 100% existed.
Okay. And what led you to that conclusion?
They were with me in middle school. They were with me in my English class.
Okay.
Third period.
Sweet.
Mrs. Stevens.
Okay. Well, I guess you weren't friends with him because that's not how you pronounce Jesus.
Jesus, he was a weirdo.
Okay.
He ended up
teetering on racism, but all right. Thank you very much, Chris, for coming up and saying a joke that everybody already kind of heard a billion times probably today. Gonna move on to, and thank you there, Queen, to Morenita.
Hi, they added me up because I said he did exist.
Okay. What kind of evidence you got there for that? Like, what led you to that conclusion?
I mean, a lot of Roman scholars said he existed, and like
Roman
even
scholars?
Yeah, I have some names.
Scholars. Okay.
Scholars, yeah.
Where did they go to school?
Roman scholars in the past? There were universities in the past. You know that, right?
Yeah. So, like, what universities did these scholars go to? What did they represent? Where'd they work out of? Where'd they get their PhD?
Oh my God. Well, obviously not in the modern way, like, oh, I graduated from Harvard, but they studied the Bible. They studied.
Oh, they studied the Bible. Okay.
Yeah, they studied.
So Roman scholars studied the
figures.
Bible in what century is this? Queen. Shh.
Did you hear me?
No. Whenever you're off the app, I can't hear you. You can hear me,
Oh,
but
I
I can't
said,
hear
yeah,
you.
I had to look it up. So it says 116 CE.
Okay. So there wasn't a Bible in 116. So that I don't know what you're talking about.
116 CE?
Correct.
Well, that's what it says.
Well, it wouldn't make any sense for them to study the Bible.
Well,
What
they
are you talking
studied
about?
historical figures and they said that Jesus did exist.
There wasn't a New Testament canon until the middle of the 2nd century, which would be like 144 or later. So,
But didn't Jesus exist before the New Testament was written?
Jesus didn't exist at all, but I don't know how they studied the Bible if there's no New Testament.
But isn't the Old Testament part of the Bible?
Is that part of the Bible or the Bible?
It's part of the Bible. There's two parts
Okay,
of
so
the
you
Christian
think somebody
Bible.
who was writing in 116, a Roman scholar, studied the Old Testament and learned about Jesus in there?
No, they learned about the Messiah, and they also knew that Jesus existed, and people thought that Jesus was the Messiah. You don't have to agree
So
with
this
that,
Roman
but the
scholar
fact that
called
Jesus
him the
existed.
Messiah.
No, but the fact that Jesus
So then how
existed
did they
is not.
connect Jesus and the Messiah? Why did they need to study the Old Testament if they didn't call him the Messiah?
I mean, if they're a scholar, they can study multiple things.
Cool. Well, how did you determine they studied the Old Testament? You said they did.
Well, that's what it says.
It
I don't
says
know.
in the text that they studied the Old Testament?
Yeah,
Okay. What text?
it says tacticus. I don't know. I don't speak Greek, but whatever that name
It's
is.
not
or
Greek, so
Roman.
don't worry about it. Anyways.
I speak 3 other languages, so.
Oh, okay. Is one of them Latin? Because that's what Tacitus
No, I don't
is.
speak Latin.
Oh, okay.
I don't speak dead languages. I speak languages that matter now.
Okay. Do you speak
Why
any
would I
other
speak
Romance
Latin?
languages?
Sorry?
Do you speak any other Romance languages?
Yeah, I speak Spanish. Morenita.
That would be pretty damn close to Latin.
Well, I don't know how the fuck to pronounce tacticus.
Try to say it with a Spanish accent and you get pretty damn close.
Tacticus? No sé.
Well, you're putting some of those consonants where they don't belong, but anyways, Tacitus. Yeah, so where in his book Annals, book 15, section 44, which is what you're probably trying to quote, written in 116 initially, where does he say that he studied the Old Testament?
Where does it say he studied the Old Testament?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you made the claim that he studied the Old Testament. Where does it say that?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, I don't know why you said it then.
That's what it said. I mean, I don't sit all
That's
day
what
and
what said.
read Roman literature. They just added me up. So like,
That's what said. What told you that he studied the Old Testament?
I looked it up. When they
On
added
what?
me up, I was like, okay, let me look
You
it up
looked it up
before I
on
say
what?
anything. On the internet. I didn't go to the library and read every
Okay.
book in the library.
So it said that Tacitus studied the Old Testament?
Yeah.
All right. All right, so I'm not really exactly sure what you're talking about, seeing as it pretty much explicitly states that Tacitus, no, the Roman historian Tacitus did not study the Old Testament.
I guess not.
Going great so far. So what did
I mean,
Tacitus
I don't
say?
really care as much as you do. I just joined because they added me.
I mean, I think you do kind of care. Do you not care about whether or not Jesus existed?
I mean, I believe he did. If you don't,
Cool.
that's
So
a
you care
you
then.
thing.
So you
That's
care
a
then, right?
That's a you thing. It's not really a me thing.
You don't believe Jesus existed?
I just said I do, but I don't care if you
Okay.
do. I don't.
Alright,
I mean, like,
that's fine.
I don't care
I'm
if
not-
anyone does.
Awesome.
You could. If you believe SpongeBob exists, I wouldn't give a fuck. If you, I mean, you see what I'm saying? I don't care. It's your opinion.
So I'm guessing that you're not a Christian or anything, because I mean it
No, I
explicitly
am
tells
a Christian,
you.
but I'm not
it
going to force
explicitly
anyone
tells
to
you
be a
in 1
Christian.
Peter 3:15 to always be prepared to give a reason for your belief when demanded or questioned of you, and do so with gentleness and respect. It explicitly tells you in the Bible to care. And in fact, one of Jesus' last words, according to the Gospel of Matthew, is said to go out and spread the gospel. So if you don't care, you're actually a really shitty Christian. You're not actually a Christian at all, technically speaking.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. So that being said, if you do truly care about your religion and whether or not you're right or anything like that, we can continue this conversation. But you're going to have to care at least a little bit, because that's what your Bible tells you to do. I mean, I know
you can
haven't.
drop me. I honestly don't care that much. I have to get to my.
No, it's because you
I have to
haven't read the
clean,
Bible
so
or anything.
I don't really care that much. They just added me up and I accepted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did this go the way you thought it would?
I mean, I didn't really care about the outcome because I didn't
That's not
request.
really what I asked.
I didn't have a assumption of how it would go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You accepted it? Thought maybe you'd
Yeah, I
have
accepted it after they
little bit
invited
of
me 3
conversation.
fucking times. I'm like, okay, I'll just accept it.
Did you think that maybe 337 people on TikTok and 395 people on YouTube would know that you're a shitty Christian, like within a couple seconds?
Oh my god, that's so horrible.
I mean, kinda. It depends
What
on
am I
if you
gonna
care
do?
about being a Christian.
What will I do?
I have no idea. I guess be a shitty Christian. Continue on.
Okay.
Anyways, try reading anything. Actually, if you want to
I'm
try the
okay.
Bible, that's perfectly fine. But
I don't want to read.
yeah,
I don't know
checks
how
out.
to read. I'm illiterate.
Makes sense. Anyways, thank you very much, Marina, or whatever your fucking name is. Say hello to your mom for me. All right,
Bye.
we're gonna go ahead and move on to, I guess, Bruce here. All right, $4.99 really fast from Zynal says they're on YouTube. Thank you for the super chat. Says, dude, I'm loving this. Got to check out the book and see what's up. Seriously, giving me a whole different viewpoint, and I appreciate you for that. Well, thank you very, very much. Yeah, just if you feel like maybe we didn't explain something to because of the door. Oh, weird. If you feel like we didn't explain something too terribly well there in the book, let me know. Our email address is there in the book as well. You can send us an email there and just ask some questions if you need to. Obviously, if you want to request up, you can, and we can kind of talk about that as well if you disagree. So come on up. But thank you very much for checking out the book. And by the way, I guess I'll plug the book. Give me 1 second. Okay. So the book is Christ Before Jesus. The ebook is just $3. The link is here on my TikTok bio or on the YouTube profile if you wanted to check it out. All right, Bruce, what's going on, Bruce?
Good, man. How are you doing?
Doing good. Where's my goddamn electric car, Bruce? Anyways, what you got?
Okay, so first of all, I like what you do. It's very good. I appreciate it. Second is I'm on your side. I don't think that the biblical Jesus or Paul is actually an actual character that was in history. This is fictional at most. So I do agree about that. But I want to have a conversation with you because you know about the Josephus and everybody's going toward it and all of that stuff. But I have a question. I want to talk to you about a specific point. I heard you a couple days ago talking about George Washington having a Porsche, if I'm not mistaken, or a specific car. And that's anachronistic because it didn't exist at the time.
It was the Lamborghini.
Lamborghini, yeah, Lambo, yes, exactly. Yeah. So what I want to talk about here is
Porsche's
okay.
a fucking Nazi car. Anyways, keep going.
Okay, so let's if the evidence, if I want to create an evidence historical anchor for George Washington, what is better is to actually have him going out with a bunch of gangs, or would I create him in between a bunch of politicians? What do you think?
I'm gonna keep it real with you, Chief. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I really don't.
Okay, so here's where I'm coming from. So it's likely if I want to create a hero or a leader is to put him between leaders. When you go to the Josephus, the testimony for him, which I fully agree with you, that's completely interpolated. It's not from Josephus himself. But if you read the paragraph prior and the paragraph after, he's talking about basically rebels. He's talking about troublemakers. So what is more likely? Is it that Jesus, if he was in history, was a
talking about
troublemaker?
rebels? The paragraph before it just talks about how Pilate diverted funds.
Okay. Diverted funds, and that caused a lot of trouble, and I'm talking about another trouble after it. When it's basically, even the whole section is talking about troublemakers. Correct or not correct?
I mean, really
you
loose
see where I'm
definition,
coming
but
from.
yeah, sure, I guess. Yeah.
So to explain it, it's if there are three scenarios. One scenario that there wasn't anything prior to Eusebius. Second, what we have right now was existing prior to Eusebius. The third option is there was something and God changed to make it sweeter. I agree that it doesn't make sense that it's completely existing, and Josephus wrote that as we have it right now. It doesn't make sense. Who wrote that is a Christian, and it's not Josephus. It's impossible. So we exclude that. So
yeah, okay.
We have two options left. Either there was something prior and something added to it, edited, redacted, or there was completely nothing prior. What I'm asking is if I want to create a precedent for a historical precedent for somebody that I perceive as a hero, as a superhero, supreme hero actually, I should put him between the leaders, the good guys, not between troublemakers within the Josephus books. It makes more sense that whatever was there, if there was something that was talking about people causing trouble, and then
Okay, no, their main concern was the timing. Their main concern was the timing of it. Yeah, the main concern is the timing of it, not making it fit. The timing of it is Pilate. It's talking about Pilate, so it's going to talk a little bit about like they're just trying to put Jesus in there because Jesus and Pilate had something to do with each other. They're trying to get it time-wise to line up. I mean, it doesn't really do that great of timeline, but it's still within the time frame of Pilate there. It wouldn't have made any sense to put it anywhere else, really. I mean, it still doesn't fit there entirely, but I can see why they placed it there as opposed to like writing about Herod or something.
So in Josephus, there was no mentioning about Pilate other than that section?
I mean, it's just during the time of Pilate. Like, it talks about Pilate and his reign between 26 and 36. And so they just throw something into there.
Wouldn't be if I'm putting a statement, wouldn't I, if I'm creating a whole paragraph about him, I would say in another nicer placement and say, and at the time of Pilate, this happened, and put it there. It would make sense to me. Okay. We have different opinions because I'm saying it's probably there was a man, like a goofy man that was actually there, and then all these fiction about him being created. Now I have another. I'm talking about Jesus. Now talking about Paul. So I heard you before saying that you think that Marcion fabricated all the letters. I
mean,
of
sure.
Paul.
I mean, they're just like a particular genre, but sure, go ahead.
So when you read the authentic letters attributed to a character called Paul, you're gonna find in a lot of places that he's tying up what he's talking about the prophecies in the scripture. If the Marcion hates the God of the scriptures, why would he tie up in a lot of Paul's
You have to read the Marcionite versions. They're reconstructed by multiple scholars. Your problem is you're reading the canonical versions.
Okay, I remember when I came up to your stage before and I talked to you about the 14 years in the Galatians, you mentioned that it didn't exist.
The what?
I talked about Galatians, in the letter of Galatians, when the character of Paul was talking about his history after being converted, that he went to Arabia and went back to Damascus and stayed for 3 years, and then after 14 years went to Jerusalem.
Okay.
When I pointed that out to you, you said, no, that was not in Marcion. So I went and dug to see if it was there or not, and I saw that in Tertullian, when he would basically disputing the Marcion version, he mentioned that the 14 years was there.
The 14-year what?
when Paul was talking about that, I tell you guys that when I saw Jesus, I didn't go and consult anybody in Jerusalem. I went to Arabia, and from Arabia back to Damascus. And 3 years
Where
I
did you
went
get
to
this information?
about the Tertullian mentioning
Sure,
the 14
yeah.
years. When I dug about the that information,
Where did you
that's
get
what
it?
I came up with.
Where?
I can't tell you the complete research that I did, but this is what I found.
Okay. All right.
So, but what I'm just reminding you what happened before. But what
Sweet.
I'm trying to say is
All right,
that
we're gonna need to wrap this up, man. It is
we gotta wrap it up.
a lot of yapping.
It's okay. Wrapping it up, you're gonna find a lot in the authentic letters attributed to character Paul that he's talking about scriptures.
Uh-huh.
It does make sense more to me that there was a guy trying to attribute that Christ to the God of the scriptures.
Okay.
If Marcion was doing that, he shouldn't be attributing to the God that he perceives as an evil God.
Listen. None of this is going to make any sense. So what I'm telling you now is that you are reading the canonical versions and you are getting tripped up on some things that Paul says that Marcion should not have actually said, or Marcion's theology would go against. So if you heard me say that the following letters come from Marcion, then that in your head it doesn't compute, which makes sense. I'm not faulting you for that. The problem is the fact that you are not familiar with what is in Marcion and what isn't. You need to make sure that you do good research on that. There are a number of texts that you can go take a look at. You can take a look at Klinghart's reconstruction of Marcion. You can take a look at Badun's. You can take a look at Litva's. I don't know where you got the idea that Tertullian said certain things. I would highly recommend going and taking a look at scholar Dr. Jason Badun's The First New Testament, Marcion Scriptural Canon. You can go and take a look at that and see what it says and go into the footnotes, and it'll tell you like how sure we are that something was actually written in Marcion's Apostolicon or the collection of Paul's letters. That's what I'm going to encourage you to do, because what you're doing is you're just kind of pointing at things that I don't consider any kind of issue because it's a later edition, and you're saying this is a problem, and it would be a problem if it wasn't for the fact that it wasn't in there. So it's just what you're saying is more or less a waste of time. You need to educate yourself on the actual Marcionite text and then come back. If you can show me where a scholar or you can show me where a reconstruction has been done, and I'm not appealing to scholarship. I'm appealing to the reconstructions that have been done based off Tertullian and Origen and Irenaeus's triangulation of what we can actually find out was actually in there. It could be done by anybody. I don't give a shit if it's done by a scholar or not, as long as it's based off of the evidence that we have. And the evidence that we have does not point to a lot of what you're talking about. It's like you're appealing to, or you're talking about later canonical stuff. So you're gonna have to identify what parts you want to talk about, and you have to know that they were in Marcion's version at least. That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
otherwise, it's not
good.
really gonna be a fruitful conversation.
Sounds good, man, and I enjoy your shows.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a good day.
Yeah, that was Bruce, everybody. That was Bruce. We do have, let's see, Father coming up. Father.
Okay, so is this like a mythological or like a mythology versus like realistic type thing off of your Christ Before Jesus book?
What do you mean?
What is that?
I think I know what you mean, but rephrase it.
So imagine that in sorry, it's hard. Imagine the story you get from the world from the churches is like a false version of like
a mythology
actual
kind of thing?
history. And so if that is a story that somebody put forth, which is a false version of what actually happened, then it's that version that people believe in is the not real, the idea, the false version, whereas like the realistic, the actual historic version of it would be, you know, a little different, and the Jesus that people believe in is the Jesus that the churches teach to them, but not the actual person it was based off of. And the teachings that they give to you is like not the teachings that you're supposed to be getting from those specific laws or people. Do you understand that?
No, not at all, actually. I think maybe you're asking, like, is this a question over did Jesus exist, or was he... You're asking, like, where I'm coming from. Is this like a historical question, or like going against the supernatural?
Well, like if you say Christ before Jesus, does that mean you believe in like that God or anything?
How does that in any way, shape, or form imply that I believe in a God? Or don't believe in a God? I'm asking you if you do.
I'm just asking you.
Oh, that's irrelevant.
Because it seems like you're trying to point to what a Christ would be in the sense of like before the story of Jesus.
No, I mean the Christians had a Christ deity that they worshipped before the mythology of Jesus showed up.
The idea of Messiah from the Old Testament.
Cool. Well, again, the Christians had a Christ deity that they worshipped before the Jesus mythology shows up in the 2nd century.
Yeah, I understand that.
So that's it. Before they wrote a Jesus story, they had a different God that they worshipped.
Right. And do you believe in that one?
What does that matter?
I'm trying to base what I can talk to you based off of that, whether you believe in that God or not.
Suddenly, if I believe in a God or believe in a different God or don't believe in a God, you're going to change your evidence for if somebody existed?
No, I can give you that.
Okay, well then just skip to that.
Okay,
That
so let's
waste of time.
Let's find what we can prove. Let's find what we can prove. What can we prove? Okay, we can look at the geographical location.
Okay.
We can look at the fact that there are, say, Jerusalem.
Okay. Is that where Jesus is from? And we can look at the fact.
Let me get there.
Is that where Jesus is from?
We can look at it said that he was from Nazareth.
Okay. Can we find Nazareth at the beginning of the 1st century?
Yeah.
No. There's no evidence of Nazareth at the beginning of the 1st century.
The geographical location where they were talking about exists.
Sweet. Like in the sense that, like, if anything is on the planet Earth, it would possibly exist. That's the point. But we don't have any evidence of Nazareth.
That there is a place.
All right, you've been muted because you just keep fucking talking. There is no evidence of Nazareth at the beginning of the 1st century. Please provide any evidence for Nazareth at the beginning of the 1st century. Go ahead. Like, the land exists, obviously. It's the planet. But, like, how do we know that there was a place called Nazareth at the beginning of the 1st century?
Okay, what would you say the Old Testament
it never mentions Nazareth.
Times.
The Old Testament doesn't say Nazareth. What do you think that is? And also, it's Nazarite, not Nazarene.
It means the same thing.
It does not. What do you think Nazarite means?
Yes, it does. I'm not going to go down to the definition of it. I'm saying
well, you literally tried to bring up something that doesn't have anything to do from Nazareth.
There is a connection between it and its words.
No.
There is a Nazarite vow that the person takes.
Sweet. And does that mean they're from Nazareth? Yeah. That means your argument was dumb as shit, dude.
It could be. It could be.
It doesn't.
It could be.
So I take a vow and that automatically means I'm from a city? That's stupid as shit.
No. The fact is
so connect the word Nazarite with Nazareth.
Called Nazarenes and Nazarites.
No, nowhere in the Old Testament does it say Nazarene, and it doesn't say Nazareth. So where are you getting the idea that Nazareth is connected to Nazarite?
The Nazarite vow is in the Old Testament.
Sweet. Where does that say anything about Nazarene or Nazareth?
It's just a connection. The point was,
what is
I'm
the
not
connection?
Here to prove Nazareth.
What is the connection?
To tell you what you can prove.
What is the connection?
What you can prove.
Sweet. We can prove that Abraham Lincoln existed. That doesn't mean that he was also a vampire hunter like a fictional book says.
Okay, and you can prove that the kingdom of Jerusalem existed.
But we're talking about things that you can't prove, which shows that it's fiction. There's a difference between just straight fiction like Lord of the Rings and something like, I don't know, Fast and Furious. Because hey, Brazil is a real place, but just because they go there in Fast 5 doesn't mean that Dom is a real person. That's dumb as shit.
Right. But all these stories
that's how that
are
works.
based off
So
of
we
mankind.
what we do is
Actually,
we,
you have-
in order to
you have
determine
people who
something
can
is
go to
fiction.
volcanoes.
All right, Jesus Christ, dude. When you hear me talk, that means shut the fuck up because we can't be talking over each other and stuff like that. One of us has a mute button, the other one doesn't. So I'm going to be as fair to you as possible. But if I ask you a question or if I make a point and you just keep going and going and going, we're not going to get anywhere. So listen. Whenever we're trying to figure out if something is fiction or not, it doesn't depend on how often it lines up with history. It's how often it doesn't line up with history. Because Harry Potter can line up with history. Again, Fast and Furious can line up with history. That's fine. Spider-Man, the Hulk, that can line up with history. But that doesn't mean that it's real. It's how many times it doesn't line up with history or doesn't line up with geography. The errors are what cause it to be fiction. So, again, Nazareth isn't a place in the Old Testament, and we don't have any evidence for it at the beginning of the 1st century. So this is indicative of something being written later on based off of a place that shows up later. We don't have any evidence for this. So pointing to different places isn't going to mean anything. What other evidence do you have for Jesus?
Okay, but why I don't understand or why I don't see the justification in your argument is that the Nazareth part of the conversation was not my specific direction of what I was trying to say.
Does
to
London
you.
exist?
So you
Does London
from what
exist?
I was trying to tell you.
Yeah, I know. You were trying to connect the story with a place that we know existed, and you were going to say this is evidence for it. London exists.
I was saying there's evidence for specific things.
Sweet. London exists. That doesn't mean that there's evidence for explicit things or specific things in Harry Potter. New York exists. That doesn't mean that there's evidence for specific things in Amazing Spider-Man.
Like, no shit, dummy.
Okay, cool. Well, you've proved yourself to be pretty much a moron. Do you have any other evidence?
Okay, so as I was saying, what we can prove, you go, you look, you have a kingdom which was called Jerusalem. It has it has buildings. They built it. Okay. And this book, this Hebrew Bible, apparently is.
He's not even talking about the New Testament anymore. Okay. Gabriel, what you got? Like, that's so silly. So silly. Guys, come up here with like good evidence. Like, come on. Like, at least try. Come on. Also, yes, the kingdom was actually never called Jerusalem. It was not the kingdom of Jerusalem. It's the kingdom of Judea. Sorry, I know that looked really dumb on YouTube, but there was like a TikTok thing. Anyways, Gabriel, what you got?
Hey, I didn't even realize I was brought up. How you doing today, man?
Doing good. What you got, man?
Yeah, you said Jesus and Paul never existed. Prove us wrong.
Yep.
So when you say like Jesus and Paul never existed, what is your claim and why did they not exist?
Even the natural version of Jesus and Paul as presented by the New Testament did not exist because they don't line up with the 1st century and what we know about fiction and just, logic, considering the fact that there's contradictions within the text.
Wait, logic? What do you mean?
Well, you can't be born 10 years before you're born, can you?
Yeah, you can't. But do you also know
logically that guy can't exist. Done.
Reason?
Next. What?
You know the principle of sufficient reason, right?
Sweet. So you can't be born 10 years before you're born, so that's impossible. Yeah. So therefore, the Jesus that's presented in the New Testament is impossible. So unless you have any other evidence for another guy, then we're just going to go ahead and assume that the null hypothesis is that Jesus didn't exist unless proven otherwise. Same thing we do for Luke Skywalker and Harry Potter. So if you've got any evidence for a different Jesus, present it.
If I have evidence for a different Jesus, there were 500
the one that's in the New
eyewitness
Testament. All right, name one of the 500 that gives a testimony.
Name one of the people. I don't know the people there, but
okay, you said we have over 500 eyewitness testimonies, and you can't name one of them.
Yeah.
Sweet, name one.
Okay, so
name
the
one.
Bible, especially within the Gospels.
Are you saying that's one of the eyewitness testimonies? Is the Bible? As you're saying?
Yeah, so one of the
Where?
eyewitness testimonies would be Matthew.
Okay. Where does Matthew say that he's an eyewitness? We'll go ahead and pull it up here.
Well, if you're doing 500 eyewitnesses,
Sweet.
we'll get where the crucifixion.
Where does the text
Jesus Christ
where does the text, the Gospel of Matthew, say it's written by an eyewitness? What verse?
Well, it's not in Matthew. I'm saying that
It's not
Matthew
in
himself, Matthew himself, because he was a person around the time that Jesus
You said we
Christ
have eyewitness testimonies.
crucified.
Where's their testimony? Where?
Where's their testimony?
Yeah. Where's their testimony that we have?
He doesn't have a specific testimony, but
Okay.
he was around.
Well, then
during
skip
that
to the
time
next one,
where
I guess.
he was crucified.
You said we have over 500 eyewitness testimonies. Give me a text that we have that says I'm an eyewitness.
Let's wait. Let's slow down so we're able to have a fruitful discussion, shall
Not
we?
a problem. Not a problem. We'll just kind of back up. Just make sure. Did you say that we have over 500 eyewitness testimonies of Jesus?
I did.
Do you want to take that back, or do you still hold to that?
I still hold to that.
Okay, so give
who
me
was around-
one of the
so
eyewitness
within-
testimonies that we
We're using
have.
the text in the Bible.
So
We're
give me.
using the text in the Bible, right?
Sweet. Give me. I don't care if it's inside the Bible, outside the Bible. Give me the
So
name
if
of the
we're-
text
if we're
that is an
using-
eyewitness testimony.
If we're using the context of the Bible, who was around when Jesus was crucified?
Where's their eyewitness testimony? That's what I'm saying.
So you need. Okay, so this is what I'm
Where's
hearing.
their
You
eyewitness
need a
testimony?
specific-
That's what you said
Can you
we
let me
have.
talk?
That's what you said we
Dude.
have. You keep talking around
Hey,
it.
you know
You
what?
keep talking around
You're
it.
not letting me talk.
Just give
Oh
the
my-
name of the text. That's
Oh
all you
my
need to do.
days.
Sweet.
Is this how you talk to people in real life?
Just give me the name of the text, man.
I love your hat, by the way.
Sounds good. Give me the name of the text.
I'm trying to, but you keep on talking
Just do
over
it.
me. Dude, okay, so Matthew,
All right. Where
Mark?
in Matthew does it say
Luke?
it's an eyewitness testimony? Where does
you
it say
need
that?
you need a specific you need
Then how
in
did you determine
context, like, hey,
you are
this is
calling
an
it
eyewitness
you are calling it an eyewitness testimony? How did you get to that answer? How did you
How did
determine
I
that?
Because of literal logic.
Where? Okay, so logically show me how you got to it.
Okay, so the people who witnessed during the time where it took place,
Uh-huh.
there were crowds of people
And they
during that
wrote
time that
down the
witnessed
testimony?
crucifixion.
Are you just saying that like people in a story
Do you
people-
logically think that during that time
Mhm.
that they're making a list of everybody that's there?
I mean, you're
Writing
saying that we
each
have
and
over
every letter
500
of their name.
testimonies. So, okay. Yeah, it must be because you're saying we have over 500 testimonies. Where are they? I don't know what
this
to
is
tell
not
you.
gonna be. This is not gonna be a.
No, I need you. I need you to
productive
realize that what you're talking about is the equivalent to we have over 500 people who saw Harry Potter win a Quidditch match because there's a bunch of people in the stands when he wins. You're just pointing to people in a story and you're saying that because they saw it, they're the testimony. But unfortunately, the book itself is not a testimony. It's not written by one of those 500 people. Where in Matthew is it showing that
do you
it's
know
a
what the Dead
testimony?
Sea Scrolls are?
Sweet.
you know what
Something
the
that
Dead
shows
Sea
up as
Scrolls are?
early as to 250 BCE and doesn't include Jesus. Do we have any eyewitness
Actually,
testimony?
it actually talks about the suffering servant in Isaiah 53, right? Within
Okay.
a
So
passage
is
of the Dead
is
Sea. You
is
can pull that up.
Isaiah an eyewitness testimony to Jesus?
No, Jesus was
Okay,
not
so
around during that
we are
time.
still cool. So that's my
Okay.
point. Are you still
Yes,
brought
but
up?
that is a
listen,
that is a
listen,
prophecy.
Gabriel.
Oh my days.
We can discuss that if you want, but you are
God.
pivoting because you couldn't find any eyewitness testimony, and he decided to run because that's just how it works.
Now that's what I call a Texas barbecue.
Flawless victory. Fatality.
All right. So, in no way, shape, or form do we have any eyewitness testimony of Jesus. And also, Isaiah 53 is a suffering servant, and that servant is identified multiple times prior to Isaiah 53 explicitly as Jacob, the personification of Israel, as in the people of Israel, and it's talking in past tense because it's talking about Israel coming out of Babylonian exile. In no way, shape, or form is it a prophecy about Jesus. Not at all. Never says Jesus, and is always talking in past tense about all the bad things. All the suffering the servant did is in the past tense. A prophecy is about the future. So congratulations if you're still watching there, Gabriel. You're dumb as shit. Do you have anybody else who's got any kind of evidence for Jesus or Paul? This guy was just kind of saying all kinds of nonsense. He very clearly had heard it somewhere in some church or something, and he was just repeating it. All right. Isaiah is a prophecy, bro. Yeah. Well, I mean, it has a prophetic part to Isaiah 53, but it is just talking about how Israel is going to be blessed, how good things are going to happen to Israel in the future because like all the bad things happened in the past. That's what it talks about. But again, it's all about Israel. If you're on YouTube, click the link that's in the chat or send a super chat. I promise I will read it out loud and I will respond. So if you have any questions for me or you have any evidence for me, you can put it in there. Or if you want to use the word of the day or the word of the week is doofus. If you think that I'm a doofus, find a creative way to call me a doofus there in the super chat. I will read it out loud, even though it's an insult to me. And,
you are doofus. Take off your hat. Take
Sounds
off your
good,
hat,
man.
bro.
No,
take it off.
No, only your mom can take
you're
it off
balding.
tonight.
You're
no.
balding. I'll punch you in your face.
Yeah, good luck. So anyways,
No, if
what you got
I
for
ever
us?
see you in public, I'm punching you in your mouth. Just
Okay,
know
cool.
that. You have such a punchable face.
Sounds
you're
good.
balding and you're hating on Christ. And I know Christ is real, by the way. I have evidence.
Sweet. So what's your evidence that Jesus existed? What, did he jerk you off yesterday or something?
You see, you want to be ignorant. Okay, so what's my evidence? I've encountered Jesus.
Yeah, I know. He jerked you off yesterday. So what?
No,
we're
I'm
talking
being
about
serious.
2,000 years ago, though. Do you
No,
have
I know.
anything
You're
for
going
2,000
off
years ago?
scripture. You're going off scripture, which makes you mediocre when it comes to information.
Yeah, you see that little thing that popped up on TikTok? See you, buddy.
You're bald.
Anyways. Not at all. All right. Alrighty. You being schizophrenic isn't evidence. All right. We got Michael Johnson, I guess. Yeah, and by the way, I had to remove. I was actually going to keep the guy up, but TikTok told me I had to take him down because he was saying some stuff. I think he was saying like violence and stuff like that. So he probably actually can't. Yeah, it says a guest in your life has violated our violent and criminal behavior policy. Yeah. So, yeah.
Hello?
Yeah. So they got removed, and so they're probably going to end up with a nice little flag there. A flag, that, by the way. I know I said that like really quietly. I don't want TikTok to freak out about me either. Anyways, Michael Johnson, what's going on?
Hello. I want to ask, when do you think the book of Revelation was written?
The book of Revelation was probably written sometime in the late 1st century, and then repurposed by Christians and translated into Greek into the 2nd century. It was not really considered to be part of the canon, and they squabbled back and forth about it until about the 3rd century.
Okay, but you believe the book of Revelation was written in the 1st century, right?
What?
But you believe the book of Revelation was written in the 1st
The bulk
century,
of it,
right?
it's like chapters 4 through 20. It's the section that doesn't have John, doesn't have really a lot of Jesus in it or anything like that, or any Jesus in it, but yeah.
Okay, but it was written in the 1st century.
Yeah, most likely. It could also be about Hadrian, but it just kind of depends. It's at least written in Hebrew or Aramaic first. It's like Jewish apocalyptic literature, and then it's translated into Greek later on and repurposed for the Christians. Which again, it shows up so late that even the proto-Catholics and the people who are putting together the canon as we have it today were like, we don't know if we want to include that.
But the Revelation was talking about persecution, right? The book of Revelation was talking about...
kinda, yeah. But like from Nero, yeah. Yeah.
Persecution, right?
Sure.
Okay. Now, you said something that Nazareth is not in the map. Right?
What the fuck was that all about? What does Nazareth and Revelation have to do with each other?
It's not a matter of saying, but you do realize that Jesus was a carpenter and Nazareth was a poor village,
How did it have a synagogue if he was poor and it was just a little poor village? How did it have a synagogue with scrolls and everything?
Synagogue is a place of meeting. It's not compulsory. It must be like a building. They must have a building. Synagogue
It
is
is
just
a building.
gathering.
In fact, it explicitly says that he goes into the synagogue. That's what it says.
A place of gathering. A place of gathering. Where
Yep. In fact, there's other instances in the Gospels where it talks about how people built synagogues. Like, it actually says that there's a Roman who helped them build a synagogue. Yeah. So anyways, if there was a synagogue specifically where they had scrolls and everything like that, like they're in Luke 4 and everything, then it would have definitely been on the map. Absolutely. If there was a synagogue. I'd also like to point out that there was enough men to mob Jesus, which doesn't sound like it's a poor village or anything like that.
Okay, but let's take for
also,
example.
how do
we
other
know
people
that
know about it? Because whenever people said, "Oh, what good can come from Nazareth?" you must have known about it in order to talk shit about it.
What goes? Yes.
Also,
good.
isn't
You
it
said
part of a
something.
prophecy according to Matthew 2? It says that he's from Nazareth so that it may be fulfilled the words that were spoken by the prophet. He will be called a Nazarene. So apparently, the good that can come out of it is the Son of God.
Are you going to allow me to talk, or you are going to?
Well, it sounds like you're just kind of saying some apologetics bullshit where they tried to tell you that like Nazareth was really small, but the only reason they say that is because there's no evidence for it, and that's why they try to say that it's really small.
But you do believe, okay, but you believe that Jesus' movement was apocalyptic movement, right?
I didn't quite catch that. Say that again.
Was, let's say, apocalyptic, like the end of the world movement.
Apocalyptic?
The movement was...
Okay.
Yes. Now, let's take, for example, now, let's assume that, like you said, no, is it not from Nazarene? Nothing good can come out from Nazarene, right? Yeah. So it's a symbol that the village is kind of a poor people. They were known for being poor, a poverty stricken area. Right, so he had to move from that place to Capernaum, where there is much more economic opportunity. Right.
I mean, sure, why not?
Let's say if it was poor, it would move. It would have likely to move to Capernaum, where there was much more economic. Like,
awesome. There's still no evidence for Nazareth at the beginning of the first century, so you're just kind of telling a story that you don't have any evidence for.
Relax. Nazareth was a poor. Nobody talked about Nazareth.
There's no evidence that it existed. Where's your evidence it even existed, let alone that it was poor? Nobody cared about it. Okay. So did no one... Okay, so Jesus also had a 13th disciple, and his name was Kevin. But we don't know about him because no one cared about him. He was poor. That's why they didn't write about him. See how dumb that is? Okay. All you're doing is you're just appealing to nothing, and you're saying, oh, hey, we don't have anything, so I guess I can come up with a story about how he was poor and no one had any care about it. Like, there's no evidence that it even existed.
But you do realize that the gospel was talking about under Roman rule, like persecution, movement under persecution, right?
What? You're saying like Judea or Galilee was under Roman rule? Kind of, yeah.
Like, for example, let's take for example now, if you look at Galilee now, the gospel kind of make it clear that Galilee was under autonomy, that it wasn't directly under the Roman rule, right?
Okay.
The gospel.
Sure.
Right? It was under autonomy. It wasn't directly under Roman rule, right?
Yeah.
And in a way, we know that Galileans were not known for strict Torah observance, right? Unlike Judeans, where they were strict Torah observant people.
Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm. And according to...
Must be why they had a synagogue.
Now, according to the Gospel of Matthew or Mark, it was kind of saying that Capernaum was kind of a meeting point for Gentiles and Jews to come together because of this.
Sounds good. Okay, so he goes to Capernaum. Land your plane. What's your point exactly? How did you determine that he was historical? You're just kind of telling a story that you came up with.
Now, we know that during the Roman rule, like, there were many prophets, or let's say religious movement during that time, right?
Kinda, sure.
Yes. And we know that, like, there were there were some people who believed that let's say mystic people, and we know that they interacted with a lot of mystic people. Like for example, when Jesus called this woman a dog, what they call what they call that woman in Matthew? He called her a dog, right?
Yeah, because she's the wrong
Like
ethnicity. Like he's a racist piece of shit. Yeah, I was right. Yeah,
it
God,
was
no
just wasn't a racist. It just saw it that this woman, like why, like for example, why would that woman come? Why would the woman come and meet? Okay, think about it. Why would the woman come and meet Jesus for healing? Why would
dude? It's just a fucking story, dude. Like, just where's your evidence that he even happened? Jesus Christ, man!
Example,
land the plane.
Now, relax. We know that in the first century there were many prophets and people like Josephus.
Fuck, man! You just keep repeating yourself. We're gonna move on to somebody else if you can't land the plane. Like you just kind of keep saying the same shit over and over.
What I'm trying to say is that many people were known for moving with this prophet because they knew that they can gain something from them, like maybe healing or this kind of thing. So it fits the narration of the first century, but you are claiming that it was written in the second century. Why would they make up something in the second century when the temple was destroyed and the era of prophecy is over? Are you hearing me?
Was the story after the temple, or was the story before the temple was destroyed?
It was
the story takes place before the temple was destroyed. So who gives a shit?
And yes, before the story. And the story of Paul was also before the temple, right?
Who gives a shit? What? Yes, the story is depicted as that. The New Testament depicts Jesus and Paul as living before the temple is destroyed. Them writing it later doesn't have anything to do with that.
And at that time, Christianity was not known. They were known to be Jewish sect within Judaism, right?
No, they weren't.
Okay, they weren't Jewish, but there were many Jewish movements within Judaism. The first century had many Jewish sects, right?
What does this have to do with Jesus existing?
But first century had many Jewish sects, right?
I can't. I can't. I can't. All right. I can't. All right. If anybody's got any evidence for Jesus or Paul, please come on up. All right. I wasn't belittling him. I was just trying to he kept saying the same shit. I think what he was trying to overall say was that there's movements. It's something that seems likely, or it's something that seems plausible. Okay, cool. That doesn't really mean anything. Like, there's plenty of fictional stories that seem plausible. Fantastic. All right. His plane was gaining hairline miles. Yeah, it sounded like it. Alrighty. If you got any evidence for Jesus or Paul, please come up. For the love of all that is holy, have a decent argument that you put together. I'd love to hear it. I just... Man. All right. So. There's someone in the chat over here on TikTok, Giant Robot. If you want to come up, you can. Taking a quick look over there on YouTube. Again, if you want to request up, click the little link that's in the chat, and I'll bring you up. I will bring you up. I think there's only two mods over there on YouTube. Oh no, there's 3. I see everlasting in there. Yeah. All right. Giant robot is scared. Why? You've been watching for over 49 minutes, giant robot. Just come on up. Here. You can't comment anymore, but you can request up. You can request up or accept the invite. Mute or rebuke. That's basically what it is here. I think he's actually a very small robot. Alrighty. We've got the meats. Christ before Jesus never reads YouTube chat. Oh, thanks.
Arby's, we have the meats.
That's why they call him Black Salami.
Mark Lemaster on YouTube says, you suck. Not as much as your mom does. All right. Come on up.
Bruh.
Yeah.
Dr. Pepper, baby, is good and nice. Doo-doo-doo.
I don't use multi-chat because I don't want to see what they say over there. Not interested. They're constantly saying wild shit on YouTube. Hey, there we go. Hey, by the way, Virtue2 Feral is in the chat, everybody. Virtue2 Feral. Virtue2 Feral is brought to you today by John Deere Lawn Mowing. Man, get out there and kick some grass. What we need you to do is we need you to make your front and backyard look like a baseball field. And if it doesn't, the HOA is going to come around and absolutely sue you back into oblivion. Take your house. Maybe even fuck your wife. John Deere. All right. Let's see. Tovaros says YouTube has way more trolls. Yeah, surprisingly, and they don't block like. Yeah, that's how it goes. Make hashtag grass great again. Never took CBJ as a Sprite guy. What does that even mean? I don't dance now. I make money moves. Yeah, there we go. All right. Where's your evidence for Marcion being Paul? Always strike me as a 7-Up guy. What does that even mean? I don't really like it. I don't really like whatever you're trying to mean. Goddamn, are you thirsty? A little bit, Amadeus, a little bit. YouTube has the riffraff. All right. Yeah, that's not even a thing. He's no Mountain Dew guy. I can only drink Mountain Dew if it's flavored, like the Dirty Mountain Dew or Baja Blast. Or Code Red, if you want to piss straight crimson. Host is an RC Cola guy. No, my dad loves RC Cola, though. Like, I don't know why. I mean, no way you'd be able to tell the difference. All right. Mountain Dew is flavored. But yeah, I know. But, like, other than Mountain Dew, like, original. I want to ask you if you had any insight as to why the books of the Bible were chosen over others. It's just simply the ones that the sect of Christianity knows, like that we call proto-Catholics, just their favorite ones. It's all that it is. Because you have other texts that were definitely around and may have just been as popular, if not more popular, but it didn't line up with their theology as much, so they just kind of picked those. They still questioned whether or not certain things should be added. There's even certain texts that got added and probably shouldn't have been, if you will. like Hebrews or Second Peter. But I mean, even Origen was shit talking Hebrews because he was saying that like it must have been written by somebody who was just a fan of Paul as opposed to Paul. Yep. So NJT, what you got here for us?
Yo. Last time we spoke, you mentioned that there weren't any contemporaries writing about Jesus. Do you understand why there wasn't anyone alive writing about him at the time?
Yeah, because he didn't exist. Next.
No, it's because people didn't know how to read or write. 90% of Judea at that time didn't know how to read or write, so people had to learn how to read or write in order to write about
10% of Judea did know how to read or write? And so when he takes 5,000 people to the side of a mountain, that means 500 people could have wrote about it? Oops.
So you understand that piece of information to be correct?
Okay,
then?
so 500 people could have wrote about it and no one did? And other people who couldn't write didn't know anybody who could?
Not that many people were inclined to write about it.
There were 500 people that went out to the middle of them, like the wilderness, basically, like on the side of a mountain and listened to him. Why wouldn't they be inclined to write about that? He just took out like the 10% of the population of Jerusalem to the side of the mountain, and they were listening intently to his every word. They wouldn't have any inclination
when
to
did
read
that
about
happen? When did that happen?
In the story.
What story?
Matthew.
Oh, so you're well versed in all of this. So you understand it.
Yeah,
to be true
dipshit. It's
yourself.
almost like I'd need to actually know the source material before I can tell you that it's fictional. Do you have any evidence that Jesus actually existed, or did you want to go ahead and catch one of those blocks? And it sounds like we had a conversation before and you didn't learn anything the first time.
Last time you spoke about Marcion.
Mm-hmm. So what's your evidence for Jesus?
And you mentioned Marcion had contemporaries. That's the only reason you believe in him.
We do have contemporary. We have multiple contemporaries of Marcion. We talk about him. Do you have anything
Do you believe
for
in
Jesus?
Pythagoras?
Nope.
And Homer?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Why?
Don't have any contemporaries. I don't have any evidence. Anyways,
you
move
don't
on.
believe in the mathematical equation?
I didn't say that. I just
Well, that's
said
what
that I don't
Pythagoras
believe in
came up
I don't
with.
believe in the mythology of the person who came up with it. Next.
Well, where's your evidence to suggest otherwise?
I don't have any.
Where's your counter argument? You have to present a
I don't
counter
have to. I don't have to believe in somebody
against
who we don't have any evidence for, and I don't have to present a counter argument to say that I don't think he existed.
You have to present a counter argument.
No, I don't.
Otherwise, it's invalid.
Nope. Because all I'm doing is I'm saying that somebody who I don't have any evidence for, I'm not believing in him. Cool.
You're
Next.
referencing the educational premise, aren't you? Under the sense of contemporaries. Yes, you are.
Nope. All right. Move to your next point. What is your evidence for Jesus?
Otherwise, we wouldn't believe 90% of ancient history.
Sweet. And you want to throw it all out, including Jesus?
Are you writing
Did you
off
want to do
90% of ancient history because people didn't have contemporaries?
Nope.
Is that what you're trying to say?
Would you like to go ahead and toss out 90% of ancient history, including Jesus? If you want to, we'll virtually shake hands and
that's
you'll
what
go
you're
on your
trying
way.
to say.
Is that what you want to do?
That's what you're
Is that what you want
say.
to do? Yes or no?
No, that's your belief.
Then I'm not going to do it, and it's
you
not my
believe
belief. Sweet.
Because Jesus doesn't
Either give
have any
the evidence.
contemporaries.
Sweet. Give the
You're
evidence
going
for
to
Jesus.
write off
Give the evidence for
90%
Jesus
of
or Paul.
ancient history.
Nope. I don't want to do that. Give me the evidence for
But you
Jesus
don't
or Paul
believe in
or
the ancient
GTFO.
Egyptians. You don't believe in any of that.
Didn't say that. We have
Do you
contemporaries.
know why? Paper doesn't live that long. Do you understand that?
We didn't use paper to find hieroglyphics. We used the Rosetta Stone. That's not paper, dipshit. Anyways, what's your evidence for Jesus
That's
or Paul?
because it's stone.
Yeah,
Most people
and
writing
that's not
about Jesus
paper,
were writing on paper.
dipshit. Anyways, what evidence do we have for Jesus or Paul? Go ahead.
What evidence do we have for Marcion?
We have contemporaries. What do we have for Jesus or Paul?
Contemporaries.
Who?
Right. So who wrote the equation? Pi?
All right.
Who first wrote the equation?
All right. Who is the evidence for Jesus or Paul? Who is the contemporary? You said we have contemporaries. Who?
No, let's trace it back to your version of logic.
All right, we're gonna go ahead
Let's
and get a
trace it
block
back
if you
to
can't give any contemporary for
your
Jesus.
version of logic.
You got about 10
right?
seconds. Go ahead.
Who wrote the equation pi?
All right. See you, buddy. Say hello to your mom for me. All right. Anyways, what we're going to do is we're going to move on to somebody who's got some wrinkles on their brain. Because, I'm logically consistent. Sorry. As far as Pythagoras goes, I don't have any evidence either way. We don't have enough about him for me to say that he didn't exist, and we don't have enough about him to say that he did exist. He's just kind of there. There's a story, and there's not enough that I know about in order to say that it couldn't exist or he couldn't exist, and there's not enough that I know about to say that there's a good evidence for him. All right? That's how it works. That's how it works. That's called being agnostic. All right? Or, like, I guess I'm an Apythagoras, if a Pythagorist, I guess. But the point is, yeah, if for Jesus, not only do we not have evidence for the guy, we have evidence against the guy because they wrote enough about this character for us to actually figure out whether or not he existed. It's kind of like Bigfoot. If you say that Bigfoot is simply, if you define Bigfoot as simply a North American animal, okay. There's plenty of evidence for North American animals. But the more information that you give for Bigfoot, the more that we can dig in and see if this actually lines up with reality. That's the difference there. That's the big kicker. If there's enough information about a claim, you can actually determine whether or not it is a true claim. But if it's really vague, it just kind of is there. And if you don't have any evidence for it or against it, you can just kind of go, I don't know if it's true or not. Not going to pick a side. And that's fine. For Bigfoot, there's enough information for us to dive in and say that this this animal could not exist in the Pacific Northwest. For Jesus, there's enough information for us to dive in and determine that, hey, this person did not exist there in the ancient Near East. Sorry. That's how that works. I wear a size 15. Bigfoot exists. All right. Anti-Jesus. Can Jaren drink that whole can of Sprite without burping? I'm not going to try because I feel like it would probably make me explode. I'm more of a Yeti type person. You would be. You would be. I don't even want to know what kind of weird, like, cryptids are running around over in Germany. All kinds of messed up shit. Robin says, what was the Quran's author's intent? Were they incorporating contemporary thought? I mean, yeah, they did, but I think that for the Quran, it was more of a, hey, we have our own culture, and let's kind of blend it in with what we know about, like, this other culture that is around. Because, I mean, they were really close to the Roman Empire, and that was obviously connected pretty close to Christianity there. Mothman. As my friend Oppo says, my good friend Oppo, she says, girls only want one thing, and it's Mothman's wiener. That's what Oppo said. That is not a Jaren original. All right. We got Krampus. Yeah, Jesus Christ. That's awful. Gnomes. Oh, yeah. Next Rupert. Not Krampus. Oh, man. I guess I'm Mothman. Red Six. I love Oppo. Yeah, Oppo's wild. Did somebody say wiener? Okay. Then he says L. All right. Come on up. If you've got evidence for Jesus, the request button should be right there or down there. I'm going to have to whip out that verse, guys. Going to have to whip it out. If you are a Bible-believing Christian, if you're sitting there on YouTube, you're one of the 365 people on YouTube or the 367 people on TikTok, if you're a Bible-believing Christian, you should get your ass up here. Because 1 Peter 3:15 says, always be prepared to give an answer to anyone, to everyone even, who asks you to give a reason for the hope that you have, but do this with gentleness and respect. 1 Peter 3:15 says that you should always be prepared to give a defense of why you believe what you believe when questioned or demanded of you, depending on the translation. but do so respectfully. You got to do it respectfully. That's the thing. That's the thing. If you don't come up here and give evidence for Jesus or Paul 2,000 years ago, if you were to pass away tonight, Jesus would say, "Depart from me, I never knew you. Get thee behind me, Satan." Because you didn't take time out of your busy day to go tell the guy on YouTube or TikTok with a fucking cowboy hat, some douchebag, that I actually existed 2,000 years ago. You didn't take the time to do it. You mean Jesus, you believe Jesus actually died for you. And you won't even take the time to come up and give evidence that he even existed 2,000 years ago? You swore your entire life to him and you can't even take a few minutes to come up here and give good evidence? That's really weird. That is really weird. It's weird. If you don't come up here and give evidence for Jesus or Paul, you're letting God down. And when God gets sad, he unalives a puppy. Twice. Same puppy, actually. Same puppy. Same puppy. Look it up. It's in the book of Joel. Go check it out. $1.99 from ZVXNY said, "Can Hadrian's therapist letter be used as evidence?" I would say yes. I would definitely say yes. It's just that we don't know if it's an authentic 130s letter or if it's from the 300s, like the 4th century. It's one or the other. But even if it's something from the 4th century, it seems odd that someone would be trying to talk shit about Christianity by pointing out Serapis. They don't make any claims for anything else, and Serapis does seem to be where Christianity initially came from. So if it's not something that's authentic to Hadrian, which I believe it is, but even if it's not, it's someone hot on the heels of Christianity, and they're able to actually see through the bullshit, and they're able to put together connections that we're able to today as well, and be able to see this Serapis connection. So they just happen to, I think, get it right. So let's see, that puppy in new book every time. What is going on? DATTY says I. What's going on?
What's up, man? I just checked out Joel. I didn't see the puppy verse.
What?
You said there was a verse in Joel that says God unalived a puppy twice. Yeah, I didn't see that. Which verse is that?
Now, do you have any evidence for Jesus or Paul?
I mean, you told me to go check that, so I just checked that real quick. But
okay.
that
Wrong Joel, actually. You did check the book. It's called Joel Reads Bible. Anyways, what?
Oh, that's not in the Bible, right?
No, it's got the word Bible in it.
Oh, it does, right? Okay.
So, anyways, your evidence?
Were you just joking, or you were just messing around?
What?
I'm joking. I'm joking.
Oh, okay.
Got any evidence for Jesus or Paul?
Now that we
I can't hear you when you're off the app. Stop jumping off the app. There you go.
Oh, okay. So I was just looking up. I'm just trying to figure out how Marcion's version. I'm trying to figure out like how that, or why you think that's the, why there was no Gospels before that. And when I like looked into it a tad bit, I haven't really like dove into it, but it talks about like Papias. Speaking of like Mark and Matthew, what do you say about that?
Papias says let's see. Papias is said to have died around 167 alongside Polycarp. So I'm not really sure how you dated it before Marcion.
You said Papias died in 167.
Yep, alongside Carpus, Polycarp.
So that makes it impossible for what exactly?
Him to have, I'm just saying, I don't know how you dated it prior to 144. How'd you date it prior to 144? We don't even
It's
really
just
have
20
anything
years
from
before.
Papias. Say what?
That's just 20 years before, right? Makes him around 40.
What?
You said
We don't really
160.
have any good dates for Papias's like life or anything like that. We don't even have anything directly from him. We just have things from later people who talk about him, like Irenaeus and Eusebius. We don't have any dates for him or anything. So I don't know how you dated Papias prior to 144.
I mean, I didn't personally date it, but I
All
mean, I
right.
think
Well, then
that's
how
what
did the
like
scholars date it?
scholars. I'll check. I'll come back up once I check.
Was that the research that you didn't do?
Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't really dive too much into it, so I wanted to. That helps, like what you just said. So I'll look into it and see how they date it.
So let me get this straight. You found someone who said there was somebody who mentioned the Gospels prior to 144. And you said, oh, okay. I'll just go ahead and just take what I just read.
Yeah,
and
that's
throw
when
it
you
against the
mentioned the
guy who
puppy
does
thing.
this
So
for
then I
5
came up.
hours every weekday for the last 2.5 years and think that that's going to be enough and he's not going to ask me for any further evidence.
No, like so just like I had just mentioned like 5 minutes ago, I didn't really dive into it too much, but I wanted to know because I mean you've definitely looked into it more than I have because this is like your 9 to 5. So when you say things like, "Oh, well, we don't know how he dated it," then that gives me a lead to like, okay, that's what I need to look at to figure out why he doesn't believe in it. So now I'm
Yeah,
gonna go look
so
at that
whenever you,
and then get an understanding.
but you got the name Papias from at least a little bit of research, correct?
Yeah, that's what I was looking at when you mentioned the puppy thing. So then I came up, I'm like, what are you talking about, puppy? And I looked at Joel, and there's no verse. So I just wanted to let you know that there's no actual verse like that in the Bible, and God loves puppies.
Is there a verse that says he loves puppies?
Yeah, God
What
loves
verse is
all
that?
things.
Because, I mean, he uses the word puppy as an insult against a woman in Matthew.
Not exactly an insult, but
It is.
more like
It explicitly calls her a dog whenever he's talking about her being the wrong ethnicity for him to save.
it was just talking about a pet, but I mean, I don't think it's an
It's
insult.
still a dog.
Well, you
And he's
think it's an
talking.
insult, but I don't think it's an insult.
If I called your sister a dog, if I called her a pet, would you like that?
If you
Would you like
in
that?
context, in context,
What context would you want me to call your sister a pet?
a pet?
Mm-hmm. Like a little pet.
Like if you were saying something like, "Oh, that dog treat doesn't belong to you; it belongs to like Tyson."
That doesn't make any fucking sense. When
Yeah,
did I
because
call
he's
the
saying that it
word pet
doesn't
isn't even
belong
there at
to a
all.
person; it belongs to a dog.
So if I called your sister a pet when saying a dog treat doesn't belong to you, pet, it belongs to Tyson?
Yeah.
Hey man, that's dumb as shit. You should maybe rethink your relationship with your sister.
Oh, I don't have a sister, so I'm not really sure.
Makes sense that you would be so demeaning towards women or dismiss it so quickly.
I mean, I don't demean women at all.
Okay. Do you think it's ever okay to call a woman that you're
Why do you keep going
not
to
friends
women?
with?
I'm just saying in
Because
general.
did
Like
he call a
comparing
woman a
people
puppy?
to-
Did he call her a pet? That's what you said. So is that ever okay? To just call a woman who needs help a pet?
Why do you keep going to women though?
We don't know her name. She's a woman in the Bible.
But it
And
could
as you
be a
know,
man
anybody
too.
who's
It would
writing
be
a
the
Bible is
same
a piece
thing.
of shit, and they're not actually going to actually give you the name of most women.
But it could be a man. He would have said
It
the
wasn't
same
a
thing.
man.
That's my point.
It wasn't a man. Don't try to change the words of God. So why did he call her a pet? And is it ever okay to call a woman a pet who is asking for help?
A pet?
Mm-hmm. That's what you said it was.
I mean, he also calls people sheeps and goats. You okay with that?
We are specifically talking about this instance.
Okay, well, that's my point. It's sheeps and goats and dogs.
Cool. Shit. And do you think that it's good? Oh, and he left. Because he knew that he was in a corner. That's me in the corner. Yeah, pretty much. All right. Let's see. Let's see here. By the way, don't ever call somebody a pet whenever they come up for help. That's weird. That's weird. And by the way, he didn't just call her a pet. He said, I'm not here for you, and it's not good to like give what I'm giving out to pets. So I don't care if it was like a nice way of saying puppy, dog, bitch, whatever. The sentence itself that he used it in was definitely anti-her. What you got, Lancelot?
Hey man, I'm following you for a long time, but I have one thing to ask you. Please do not eat and drink with your microphone. I'm gonna go crazy because it sounds like this. Please.
Do you kiss your dad on the lips with that mouth?
Oh, yes, I do.
Checks out.
Fatality.
All right. What do you got, guys? Let's see. We got a fire inside coming up here. What's going on?
Hey, Jaron, how's it going, man?
All
right. Hey, was that just Arnold Schwarzenegger on there?
I don't know what it was. Very strange.
So, I've popped in here a few times, chatted with you a few times. I finished the book finally, and I love that you kind of opened my eyes to all this stuff. So thank you for that. But doing some research and looking into it, the first century was just littered with a slew of bullshit miracle workers, right? Jesus, Simon, Hanina, Eliezer, Apollonius, and a couple others. Like, wouldn't it make more sense if Jesus existed but was just one of these bullshit miracle workers?
We don't really have a lot of evidence for any of those people, to be honest. Those are just kind of stories. They're tropes. In fact, that's what makes us...
Most of the evidence comes from Josephus. I would agree with you there.
But where do they say that these are miracle workers?
Like,
I mean, Simon... the only one that he says that's even really close to that would maybe be Theodotus or something, who said that he was going to split the Jordan River or something.
I don't know. Magus was definitely a miracle worker. Like, he could fly. Like, he even ended up in the Bible saying stuff about Simon Magus. There was a lot said about him, and I would say, what was the one guy, the circle drawer, Hani circle drawer, I think, was another one I was reading about. But it just seemed like there's like more than a normal amount of. It just seemed like that was the game at the time, right? Like,
right,
just people trying to.
How could that not just automatically mean that somebody would want their character to be like those people? How did you determine that it wasn't just a fictional take on these?
Oh, I believe it's all fictional, right? But I would say that there's probably. I would say it's easier to believe that it's a group of like charlatans, of people that are just out there getting people to try to believe that they're doing these miracles and doing these things, and then create a following. is it, if you applied like Occam's razor to it, is the more simple explanation that none of them ever existed, or is it that these people may have existed, but the tales of them are bullshit, right?
That's how you would apply Occam's razor to literally every fictional story.
Yeah, I'm saying they're fictional, but I'm saying there probably was people, Jesus, Simon, like these.
We don't have any evidence of these people. Like you pointed out, like say Josephus, who's mentioning these people like Simon, but he doesn't mention Jesus. That's the thing.
I thought he did mention Jesus.
No, the Testimonium Flavianum is written later. That's something from Eusebius.
Yeah, it's very likely that he's bullshit, but it just seemed like in a time where there's just a slew of people doing,
Then it would make sense that you would want your character to be one of those too.
That's fair.
Like in a time of cowboys, what's stopping you from writing a fictional cowboy?
It's a good
trying
point.
to make him Wyatt Earp. You know what I mean? Like, based him off of somebody who's famous. Okay.
In a similar sense, and yeah, obviously Wyatt Earp's life and Doc Holliday, all those fellows, their lives are more recorded, but there's a lot of bullshit stories about those guys as well, right?
Well, those people we actually have evidence for, but what I'm saying is if you could make a story back then about a cowboy that is based off of a real person, like in other words, you're making up a character that sounds like Wyatt Earp. It's not Wyatt Earp, you're just making up a character that sounds like Wyatt Earp. You're making up a character that sounds like Simon Magus.
Yeah, it's a fair.
Unless there's any evidence for your character, then it could just be fictional stuff based off of a completely different person.
I agree, and the end of the day is the point that I'm glad that I kind of learned from you and listening to you and kind of diving in. It's like there's no way to really know, right? And you got to look at this stuff as people took this, rewrote it in the words that they wanted, like made it what they wanted it to be, and just fed you a bunch of bullshit, right? And that's kind of the end of the day is like you got to recognize that these are just stories.
Yeah, but the way that these stories are presented in the New Testament, you can definitely tell isn't real.
No, by all means. I just think it's hard to argue that.
But what you're arguing for is what I call a gyno. It's a Jesus in name only. It's something that exists but isn't anything like the New Testament. So does it really matter?
No, and that's the point I'm trying to make is most likely.
Well, that's still mythicism.
100%.
I still think that like James Bond didn't exist, but if you found me a James in Her Majesty's Secret Service, it's not gonna change my mind.
No, and that's kind of what I believe is it's in name only. Maybe he had some people, maybe he pulled some fish out of a barrel and pulled some kind of magic trick in front of some folks, and they all believed, and he just had a good story, or the story is even more BS, but something had to inspire all these people to choose him to write this story about, though, right? Like there has to be something there.
No, not really. It's just making a man god, making a god that comes down and interacts with humans. Fairly common trope.
Yeah, 100%. It is, but would it be easier to believe that people made up the story, or a person made this story up about themselves and got people to believe it?
Oh no, we don't see the story for over 100 years after the guy died, so
that's fair too.
That's the problem with like any kind of oral transmission or any kind of tradition that people say was around post Jesus, and that these people started heaping these stories upon him. Then why is it that we see Christians but we don't see any mention of Jesus until the middle of the 2nd century? Why is the first gospel not published until over 100 years after he died? What are you talking about? Like, how did people just not do shit until all of a sudden everyone started doing shit?
And
in the
all,
middle
then
of the
all of
second
a
century?
sudden, they all started
And
to do
then,
something.
even then, they start coming up with new material. There's more and more exclusive to X gospel stories in each gospel that comes along. Matthew has more stuff that's exclusive to it than Mark does. Luke has even more than Matthew. John has a ton of stuff. John all of a sudden has these stories of Jesus meeting with Nicodemus.
Yeah,
How did he get that? Where did that come from? And it's very clear that they're writing these stories and they're making them up. So, I mean, it just seems odd that someone, I mean, use Occam's razor right there. If everything else is bullshit in the story, what makes you think they didn't just come up with the character too? Like, if everything, if I can point out all these problems with Star Wars, then what's stopping me from saying George Lucas also made up the character Luke Skywalker?
Yeah, it's a very valid point, and I don't think that it's true or not true. I just I don't know. And I don't think anybody could tell it with any certainty, and I think that's the
I
point
can
you're
say
trying
with
to make.
certainty that the Jesus presented in the New Testament didn't exist. The other
Oh,
Jesus,
in the
you're gonna
manner
have
that
to
he was presented,
point to something.
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Yeah. So I mean that, and that's what we talk about here.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anybody named Jesus did not exist. I'm saying that Jesus and Paul presented in the New Testament did not exist. That's what mythicism is. Mythicism is
Right.
not the concept of there's never been a guy named Jesus. No. It's saying that the Jesus from the New Testament is a myth because he was a myth. If you want to point to someone else who wasn't a myth, have at it. But what I'm saying here is the New Testament Jesus. I'm not really interested in fake Jesus. I'm not interested in quasi Jesus. I'm not interested in gynos. They're irrelevant to me.
I totally agree, but I just in the nature of existence, that's what I was thinking about. Is like, it's like, is it possible that there is a Jesus pretending to do miracles? It's very possible. But does it matter? No, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
And that's at the end of the day.
So welcome to mythicism, man.
I'm in it. I'm with you guys.
That's all that it is. It doesn't require a lot of crazy shit.
It just.
But yeah,
it just lets you go. No, the bullshit is bullshit. It's pretty cool.
Well, thank you very much, Mike, for
Thanks,
coming up.
Appreciate you.
That was Mike from A Fire Inside, or at least a big fan of him. All right, I see Elizabeth Heretics down there. Let's see. Do I have her sound? Yeah, I got her sound.
You call these things chips instead of crispity, crunchy, munchy, crackerjack, snacker, nibbler, snap and crack, pop, Westerpool, Chestershire, Queen's lovely jubbly delights. That's rather a bit cringe, innit, bro?
Yeah. Elizabeth Heretics, everybody.
What was going on with that guy the other day? Was that yesterday or the day before? Like, did you see? You were talking to that. I guess he's an atheist. Ice Cream.
Who?
Ice Cream. You were telling him about the
I know what you're
stone.
talking about. Yeah.
Was that yesterday?
Yeah, it was yesterday morning. I've slept since then, at least once.
Yeah, me too.
They actually have time
so
zones in Canada, guys. It's not
Yeah.
just an American thing.
we're really like we're trying to keep up with the future of time zones. Like, did you see that I went up after you?
No, so okay. Here's the deal. My wife, I was like in a
My
closet.
wife.
Oh, sorry. I was in a closet. I was in a closet, like talking on the phone or being on this live or whatever. And my wife shows up, and she's like, "Hey, I made like breakfast or whatever." And I was like, "Oh shit!" And so I had to hop off. And so he very clearly was not coming from a place of good faith, and he just kept saying the wrong thing. Like I kept saying questions. He's like, it says Crestus? And it's like, no, dude, stop. He wasn't even understanding what I was saying, much less actually doing the research on it. And so I just pointed out that he's very clearly just coming from a place of bad faith. He's a dishonest piece of shit. And so I just left. And so I apologize. I did not see anything that transpired afterwards.
Yeah, I came in late because like I just saw you were trying to tell him something. He was Googling something. It wasn't like seeing what you were seeing, and he wasn't letting you kind of like explain what it was that he was seeing.
The crux of it came to a head whenever I told him about the inscription. He searches for the inscription, says it's from the 1st century, even though most of that inscription date that I gave was the 1st century anyways. But I said, click the source. He clicked the source eventually after trying to pull all his teeth out. But then he found that it was talking about a completely different inscription. And I was like, okay, like that's the problem. You're trusting AI. You went from trusting a pastor to trusting AI and not actually doing any kind of research. Like, and he got onto me earlier. He was upset because I apparently at some point had told him that he hadn't fully deconstructed. I don't know when I said that, but it sounds like something I would have said. But then I explained to him there that near the end of the conversation that's why I say that people haven't fully deconstructed, because they've deconstructed from the supernatural parts of the religion, but they're still holding on to the natural parts that are still either given to them by religious institutions or by scholars who, again, the bulk are religious. So these natural stories are still going to be given from like a religious standpoint or religious tradition standpoint.
Yeah, like because that's where we get our dating. That's where we get all of our information is from the church and what these other books said. So I had heard you kind of like speak to some of that, and he went off when you left. He's just like, oh yeah, I'm an idiot. I lost. Oh, I lost. And he's like goading the chat and stuff like that. So I was like, maybe I can help, because I was like, he's a fellow atheist. I was like, maybe I can help. I'll just like chat with him. So I went up and I was just like wanting to show him just where like sometimes our understanding comes from. It's circular reasoning. The whole like First Clement is 110 because it mentions that one line about how, oh, something devastating has happened or whatever it says. You know what I'm talking about? And so because of that, they assume it's this thing that happened, not this other thing, but it could have been a million other things. So we could push it a little later. And then next thing you know, we get these other. So I wanted to kind of explain that and go, if you Google when is First Clement written, it's going to say 110. But they're
or 95, 96, yeah.
Whatever. And so they're basing it off of this line, which is like an assumption that these scholars are making. So I wanted to show them that like if you push a little harder, even in your AI, it will go, oh yeah, there's like these other options as well. Like the information's there, but you just have to like push for it a little bit, right? So I wanted to show him that, but he like refused. Like he would not look it up. He's like, no.
What I was running into, he just wouldn't do it.
Yeah, he's like, it's scholarly consensus. It's scholarly consensus. It's scholarly. I'm like, yeah, but why do they have that scholarly consensus? I like at the beginning, I go, I'm not a mythicist. Like I'm not committed to that yet. I'm just like, I'm really interested in it. What's that?
I thought you were. I think I may have told somebody you were. Oops.
I'm getting there, but I'm just like, I don't know. Like I'm just not committed one way or another. I'm apathetic about it. And he was like, oh, I'm kind of apathetic. Like he's like, I'm indifferent. I go, yeah, like, I mean, who cares? It's not going to like make me a Christian if he was real or like solidify my atheism if he isn't. I'm just like, whatever. But I find it, I think this Marcion priority thing is really compelling. But yeah, so I go, but it's worth looking into. And, it might be scholarly consensus that he existed, but that doesn't mean that he necessarily did. What's the big deal? Why don't we just look at this? But he was like dogmatic about Jesus existing. I was just like, what is happening? So I ended up like calling him an idiot and like, all that stuff. I was like, you're a moron. He dropped me.
Oh, man. See, that's the thing. Like, I guess that's why whenever somebody comes up here and says, oh, I'm an atheist, I just go, gross. Like, because, and that was a running joke, obviously, but some of the hardest people to talk about this kind of stuff are atheists, because they've stopped listening to like the consensus of pastors and started saying, oh, well, the consensus of scholars, who they don't stop to think, or the majority of those are religious anyways, but they go, oh, the majority of scholars believe this thing. So it's like, okay, so you've fixed it a little bit, and that's fine. You're moving in the right direction, but like, deconstruct from all of it. Try to rebuild it. I mean, I'm not saying that if you deconstruct, you have to, like, only mythicists have deconstructed fully. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying what you should do is you should absolutely take a look at everything that you have been taught by the church, by your religion, by the Bible, by the Quran, by whatever, and say, I'm going to try my best, maybe even in pieces over time, and I'm going to completely just abandon it and see if I can actually work it back. Build it back. Yeah. It's kind of like, who was it? I think it was Ricky Gervais actually, who said that if you take all the science books and everything and destroy them all, and you destroy the Bible and everything like that, and then you go out and you try to redo it, the Bible will come back different, but the science books will come back the same, because it's testable. It's something that you can actually rebuild. And all this stuff about the Bible and stuff, it's not going to come back that way. It just won't. Even the Jesus story, right now, if we were to destroy all the Bibles on the planet and then try to rewrite them based off of things we can actually go out find outside of the Bible and outside of Christianity, it would look different. It would look incredibly different.
I've even like updated. This is a bit outside of what you usually talk about, but if we like did a Men in Black brain wipe of everyone's head, and we gave them the Bible, and we said, like, start a cult from this, the cult would be completely different. Like, it wouldn't be recognizable, because Christianity is built on the commentaries on the Bible. It's not built on the Bible. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much other stuff that informs all the different, denominations. But yeah, it was. Oh, speaking of the consensus thing, the scholars, I was just like, what can I do with this like scholarly consensus thing? So I brought up William Lane Craig. I was like, well, he's a PhD. This guy's like a doctor. He's an authority, and he believes God exists. Why don't you like listen to the scholar on this one? He's like, what are you talking about? Like, he's an idiot. I'm like, yeah, but Bart Ehrman isn't. Like, why don't we like look at what the person is saying?
Yeah, that is a good point. Yeah, if you're just going to go off this consensus, the consensus of people on the planet, like,
that's
the
what I said
consensus
too.
is just really just like the majority. The majority of people on the planet thinks that God exists. If you're an atheist, you're already going against that.
Yeah. So it's like you're like, just look at what is actually being said there. But yeah, anyway, it was fun, but very fun. And I think he's a troll. Like, at the end of the day, I was just like, okay, this isn't a real person. If you won't have a conversation about it, like I get what you're saying, break it down, build it back. But even if you don't do that, if you're just like, oh, I don't believe Christianity is true anymore. Oh, that's interesting. These people don't even think Jesus and Paul existed. Huh? What are they saying?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Like that's how like I've always taken it. And now I'm just like, so you want to hear what happened for me? I was looking, I don't know how it came up, but I was looking at the parable of the banquet. Oh, you know what it was?
Oh, okay.
I was watching Mezzo's live, and he was talking about, we talk about how God loves perfect balls a lot. Have you, that's our thing. We like how
balls are your thing?
Our thing is the God loves perfect balls. In
that checks out.
In Leviticus 21, he's like, only priests with perfect balls. Anyone with like crushed
that is
testicles
right. Yeah.
or whatever.
If you've got like mutilated genitals, you can't come into the Holy of Holies or something.
But
Wait,
also,
who's
like,
checking, by the way?
Let's have a look.
Yeah, did
Nice.
he like assign someone else to be like, all right, man, yeah, you're good.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's an honor system.
Love that. Yeah.
But it's also for the...
I like your poly of polies. Now head on in. Yeah.
It's also the like priest thing, right? Like the priest can't be blind or disabled in any way, or and then the crushed crushed testicles. So I was like, wait a second, I know this thing, I know this parable or something where this this guy has a banquet, and I think it's supposed to be God, and he invites all the people he really likes. They don't want to go, and so he invites the poor, the lame. I don't know if lame's a PC term, but the poor, the disabled, and the blind.
Lame, not like they can't walk, but lame as in they're just like boring.
Yeah, they're just like not interesting people.
Yeah, that dweeb over there. Go ahead and get him in here. Yeah,
yeah. But do you know this parable?
Yeah. He goes out and invites everybody, and there were some people who complained or some shit.
Well, see, there's different. There's a couple different versions of it. So I was just like, wait a second, God doesn't match now, because he used to be like, ugh, I hate the blind people, and then in the New Testament he's like, let me have those blindies. Is that a wrong word? I think that's a wrong word.
Okay, blind, yeah, that's PC. Blindies, there's about a 0% chance that is PC.
So
a doctor comes in, sorry, your son's gonna be a blindy. Like. He got hit in the head with that football so hard.
Blindo is fine. Blindy is wrong.
But at least he's not lame like that kid over there.
I was just like, okay, this is a contradiction in the character of God now. But then there's this second version of it, and it's in Matthew. And Matthew tells a slightly different story where same kind of opening, except now it's a wedding feast for the son. So he's like changed it to be, that classic father-son dynamic.
Yeah.
And they go out to invite people, and the people go, no, we're not going to do it, and start harassing or persecuting the people that are inviting them.
Mm-hmm.
So like this is just like becoming really Christian. And then he invites literally everyone else, but he doesn't mention that these people are more marginalized or whatever. And then he eventually, is in the wedding feast, and he's looking around, and the God character, I guess, notices someone's not dressed in a wedding robe. And he's like, why aren't you dressed in a wedding robe? And the guy doesn't have an answer, so he throws him into hell. So it's like completely different. But it kind of opens as the same story, right?
I opened it up to everybody, even the homeless, and they came in, and one of the homeless people had the nerve to smell bad.
To wear the wrong shirt. Yeah. I was just like, wait a second.
So he's obviously going to burn in hell.
So they have to be like completely different, or like Matthew's updating on the Luke version, but they're kind of like sharing. They don't share a lot as far as like Greek phrasing goes, but they share a little bit. But like Matthew's got to be based on Luke. And then guess what? You probably know, but like the original, if it is the original, is in Marcion. Like it is in Marcion's gospel. And in Marcion's gospel, the whole thing is, and there is a prologue in the Luke version too, which is like, if you're going to have a party, and Marcion's is a little bit more on the nose here. If you're going to have a party, don't invite your friends, because they might invite you back. You're going to get something out of it. Only invite like people that can't pay you back, because they don't have anything. They're hungry. They're starving.
Yeah.
Invite those people and help them, type of thing. And then he goes on to be like, there was this guy once, he had this party, invited his friends. They had other things to do. And so he invited all the poor and the needy and those types of things. And they had a great time or whatever. That's the whole thing. And that's kind of like a beautiful sentiment. You know what I mean? When you like do it with Jesus, it's like the Son of God type of thing. It feels a little bit ableist. But I think the message originally was just like, help the needy.
Yeah.
I think that's the whole thing. And I think that kind of matches is more in line with like the Marcion sort of ideology. So I was like, that was what kind of got me. And because you had already I've watched enough of your lives, I was like, wait a second, what order has this stuff been written? And so I went down a rabbit hole, going back and forth, trying to figure it out. But yeah, that was the journey that I took to go, oh, Marcion's like the the stripped down version of this.
Yeah.
And he has stuff that Mark has.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm like, is Mark copying off of Marcion, and then
I would say
Luke
so.
is kind of building a bigger
On those two.
Yeah, and then Matthew. Now
Matthew comes first, and then Luke builds on top of those. Yeah.
Matthew comes first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I
Matthew's in
thought-
between Luke and. Yeah, that's what we were talking about the other day.
I thought you
because you had
said
said
that-
something about how it was the brood of vipers line. The brood of vipers line is actually found like 4 or 5 times throughout Matthew. It's only found once in Luke.
Oh, so that's how you would assume that, like,
And so it
Luke
had
got
read
that from Matthew.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So like Matthew went off the deep end doing all sorts of wacky stuff, and then Luke kind of pulled it back
Kind
a
of
little
tames it a little bit because, well, it looks like it's tamed because the bulk of Luke is Marcion. So
That's-
it's almost, it seems like it's kind of a change or like a turn back around to the original. But in reality, like it's using the original gospel, editing a little bit, adding a little bit to it, but also trying to fix some of the things that Matthew did. Like Matthew skips some generations in the genealogy. He has a cursed person in his genealogy. Luke doesn't do that. Luke fixes that kind of stuff. Luke comes around and tries to fix Matthew. I mean, he literally says at the beginning that that's what he's going to do. That multiple people had written gospels,
Right.
but he was going to do the right one because he had knowledge of everything.
What does John have? Like, I know John's like his own little thing, but did he copy off of anyone?
John, yeah. So John still uses some of Mark. There's actually some talking points somewhere here that I still have on the desk there that we used in an interview, I think, or like some kind of presentation that we did a long time ago. But yeah, John does seem to use at least a little bit. Yeah, John does use Mark at least a little bit. There are some phrases and lines that are taken directly from Mark, but it's not very many because by the time John comes around, Mark isn't really. You don't really need to use Mark directly too much, I guess.
The story's
Yeah.
established by then, type of thing.
Yeah, and not to mention John is just kind of out there doing anything. Like he's just because he assumes that you've already fucking read it. The first one of my favorite parts about John is that the first 2 times he mentions Judas Iscariot, he calls him, yeah, this is the guy who's going to betray Jesus. And it's like, what? He says it twice.
Spoiler alert.
Like, yeah, like he doesn't care if you already. Like, he assumes you already know the story, so he's just going to just get it over with.
He's like, here comes some theology.
Yeah, because his drive, the author of that text, that their motivation doesn't seem to be anything about like making Jesus historical, but rather like just making him this like large and in charge demigod kind of character. It just he had a completely different motivation, I guess.
It's so interesting. It's hard to know. Like, I wish we could go back in time because it's hard to know who's doing this and what their real intention is. You know, like all of this, it's so fuzzy the way that, like, even if we were like pretty confident that it's like Marcion, Mark, Matthew, Luke, John, it's like who's writing it where and what's their goal? And do they know the other guy? Like, what's happening? What are they like doing it in spite of? Are they like? How is this working? It'd be so interesting to see how that all sort of like came together.
That's why, you know, like what we talked about a long time ago, like that whole like idea of like a TV show or a movie or something like that about it. Like that would like, because I feel like if you actually sat down and tried to write out how it comes to be, and you sit down and come up with a narrative, especially complete with like talking and stuff like that, like dialogue, it would probably piece it together in your head, like just how feasible this could actually be, you know? Because if even things today, like if you were to give like just a summary of like Trump's presidency and stuff like that, or both of them or whatever, it would sound insane to most people. But like we see how it comes to be, we see how things
how
happen.
they trick people and
like you can you can piece it all together, but like unless you know the finer details, especially years from now, people are going to look at it and just be like, what the fuck was going on back then? You know, it's kind of like how you kind of look at like 1940s, 1930s, like Germany, and you go, who the hell got that guy? And it's like, but if you dive into it and you actually get the nuance, you're like, oh, okay, I see like how he rose to power. Because to me, it's just like, this guy's an asshole. Why would anybody ever vote for that guy?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, oh, that's how they tricked people and silenced people.
And it was
then
building for a while. Like
exactly.
he leaned into the anti-Semitism that was already there. Right?
Yep.
So it's like, yeah, you don't, if you don't know, I was talking about this in one of my videos recently, which is like, even if we try to get our head around the 60s, like what happened in the 60s, you know, with the like hippie free love stuff, it's like we have a lot of information. We've got video, we've got music, we've got art, we've got like, you know, writing, we've got all that. But to like get the sense of what was happening and to have like a holistic view on it would really be impossible. That we could never really capture it in any like authentic way. We can just like kind of show it a little bit. And to do that from 2,000 years ago, like we have no hope. We have no hope at ever understanding like really what was going on there. I think that like what I kind of think of is like, how do we see human beings act and develop cults today? And if we see them lie and, you know, I think that the guys were like forced by some texts being out there. So they couldn't just be like, let's ignore Marcion, or they couldn't just be like, oh, let's ignore Matthew now if we want to get back to Luke. So they have to kind of like, okay, we got to kind of fucking harmonize all this stuff already, you know, but they're just like starting a cult. They're okay, we know Jesus doesn't exist. We've changed the quotes of Jesus constantly. Obviously, we don't care that much because, you know, if he did exist, people wouldn't be changing quotes. Like Matthew's story of the banquet wouldn't be vastly different from Luke's or Marcion's or whatever if Jesus existed, because they would have cared to get it right, right? So it's like, they're like, okay, we've got to make Jesus legitimate. So how are we going to do this? We've got to like start claiming that things were written earlier. We have to like make that stuff look like, you know, it's a conspiracy theory, but I think it's like fair because they know they're making a cult. Didn't Joseph Smith do this kind of shit?
I mean, yeah. Is Joseph Smith creating Mormonism? Is that a conspiracy, or I mean, kinda, I guess.
Yeah, they're conspiring to do something.
Yeah,
so
yeah, I
you know, and
guess.
it is a theory. I just don't think it's like completely irrational. Because we can go, why are they doing it? Usually, when it's a conspiracy theory, we use that to be like, why would they want you to believe the Earth is round when it's flat? Like, what would be the motivation? That's crazy. But it still is like they're conspiring. This is a theory, but we have the motivation. They're starting a cult. They want to legitimize Jesus. Like, I'm not saying it's a like unreasonable.
Yeah, it is at least founded in reality, seeing as we can actually see the motivation, as opposed to, I don't know, something else that's just like, oh, hey, I think we're just being lied to because the worm in my brain told me that.
Yo.
I don't know if that was Joel or not. It kind of sounded like Joel.
Could have been.
Yeah. But yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, so, it'll be interesting to like. I enjoy the exploration, but yeah, talk to this guy.
Oh yes, and thank you very much, Joel, for kind of going in there and talking to that ice cream as he started to melt.
It was a nightmare.
Yeah, and then by the way, Joel, I don't know if you know this or not, but someone then went in and found that he had reposted a video that was hella racist, and so I got
Chad, follow me.
Cool. And then we actually saw quite a few people got muted for calling him out on it. And then I actually got a lot of texts and like messages later on from people who were like, hey, that guy was actually really racist. So thank you for kind of like going in there and not only torturing him, but then also kind of exposing him for being that particular way. I didn't know that. I had no idea. I didn't really know who the guy was too terribly much. But
yeah, he's a real, seems like a real ball bag, but yeah. I hated him.
Yeah, well, thank you very much
right,
for
see you later.
coming up, and thank you for going up there the other day. So that's Joel Reads Bible, everybody. Make sure you're following Joel Reads Bible, and of course, check out, especially if you're a content creator, check out Joel Sings Christianese for just $10 Canadian, which is about maybe, I don't know, like two or more Monopoly dollars. There on Bandcamp.com, you can check out some great songs that you can use for your content creation here, especially within the deconstruction space. There's a whole lot of really cool stuff. Really cool songs. He's a really good musician, and he did the song for Bible Libel, which is a Sunday night at 9 p.m. Here on Christ Before Jesus channel. All right, so we're going to move on to the ever so patient Crystal Coin. Crystal Coin, what you got here for us, buddy? Thank you for patiently and quietly waiting.
Yo, no problem. So, you think that Jesus never existed?
1 second. Yeah.
Do you believe that Alexander the Great existed?
Yep.
You believe that he existed?
Yep.
Why?
Because the Babylonian Astronomical Diary, which was written contemporaneously with his life, mentions him.
Okay, but why don't you believe that Jesus existed?
We do not have any contemporary information on Jesus like we do for Alexander the Great.
So the Bible is not evidence?
I said contemporary information. Is the Amazing Spider-Man comics proof of Peter Parker?
Yes. Peter Parker exists.
Okay, cool. Anything else you wanted to say before I go ahead and send you back to your mom? Nope. All right, well, tell her to wear something nice tonight, okay? All right, anyways, we're going to go ahead and move on. 2 pounds from Neptune Cult asked over there on YouTube, what's your favorite spaghetti western? Whew. Oh, man. I mean, it's going to have to be... Ooh, actually, I don't know. It might be the Gringo. Either that one or... I mean, how could it not be, like, Fistful of Dollars? It has to be, like, Fistful of Dollars, or I think it's the Gringo, I think. That was pretty good. The Good, Bad, the Ugly, that's also a good one. A High Plains Drifter there from Hetty and Loki. A fistful more. That's a few dollars more. A few dollars more is a fistful of dollars, and then a few dollars more. $2 from AXP Spicoli. Doofus. It's unoriginal, but there it is. Doofus. And I like how you spelled it 2 different ways too. So yeah, if you want to call me a doofus, call me a doofus. There in the Super Chats, I will take it. And I know that I'm gonna have AZ Mike saying something.
Oh shit!
There we go. All right. So if you got any evidence for Jesus or Paul, request on up. The request button should be right about there-ish or down here. If you're on TikTok, if you're on YouTube, click the link that's in the chat and come on up. I'll put the link in the chat again. You may have to scroll up just a little bit for it. It'll take you over to TikTok and we can talk. For $2 a pop, you can call me whatever you want. That's funny. Damn, Junior, baby to it. Yeah, well, just by a little bit. All right. Bone Tomahawk is absolutely not a spaghetti western. Oh man, I can't remember exactly what it was, but like that scene in Bone Tomahawk. You know that scene, yeah. Yeah, that's the scene that made all my friends who were watching it go, "Why the fuck did you suggest this movie?" Yeah. 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 You know that scene. And if you don't know that scene, consider yourself lucky. All right. Is that safe for work? No. Oh, man. Rational atheist vomiting. Yeah. 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 That's how that works. How do I call in? People are asking over there on YouTube. Click the link that's in the chat there. As long as you have a TikTok, you can come up and we can have a conversation. And I want to have a conversation with you. There's Godwin, everybody. You need to check a Godwin live out here before too terribly long. I wonder when he's going live next. I wonder when. Why do people say your book is unscientific? Because people who don't understand what that means try to say it. The most unscientific way to do solometry is a supervised method, which is what we don't do. What that entails is assuming that you know who a text is, and you're saying, I want you to find any kind of, you're telling the software to go and find anything that looks like that author. That would be starting with the presupposition. We actually just take the text and present it all as if we don't know the author. We give it to the software and see what we get. So that would be the most scientific way to do it, because you're actually you're not going in with preconceived notions on who wrote something. Godwin does good lives, but I've seen some of his lives. They're good. Sometimes I just catch like the tail end of them or something, or just a little piece of them. All right. Who wrote the software? Well, the software itself comes out of the computational stylistics group. That group out of the EU, mostly around Poland, I believe. The mathematician behind the distance formulas that we use is Dr. Masiuch Eder. All right, still waiting on some evidence for Jesus or Paul. Come on up, guys. Come on up.
And boom goes the dynamite.
Does stolometry show people coming together to form a narrative? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Let's just eat these. God, thank you, good sir. Not well. I mean, I enjoy your lives. I do. I think they're very informative. Here, I hardly know. Jesus, and I try my best to be informative as well. You know, I know there's a lot of people who focus their lives on being entertaining. Then there's going to be some people who focus their lives on being educational, and it's kind of tough to kind of fall in the middle there. I try my best to be on the educational side of entertaining, but nevertheless, you know, sometimes it's not as entertaining as I wish. Sometimes it's not as educational as I wish. I try my best, but I would definitely say that Godwin is definitely leaning on that educational side as well. I mean, obviously, there's going to be some laughs and stuff like that there on Godwin's channel, but definitely a very informative channel. So if you're not following Godwin, make sure to follow Godwin there. I don't know when the next time he goes live is, but make sure to follow. Let's see. And thank you for kind words there. Iago,
Yeah.
what you got there?
Yeah, hi. I mean, you saw me ask the question in chat about
Are you
why
the
people think your
unscientific thing?
book is unscientific. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, can I ask more questions about that specifically?
I mean,
because I read some
kind
of your
already
book.
explained it.
Yeah, because I read some of your book, about the
What did you
telemetry
read?
part.
Oh, okay, so you didn't read the first 6
So
chapters?
no, I read the parts about Luke 4, and and they are plausible. I can see where you're coming from. I don't really have like an objection to that.
The parts
But
about Luke 4. So about like the
yeah, I think it
Gospels?
was about Luke. Yeah, about how
So you read a little bit of chapter 2.
yeah, how
And then
Luke 4 was
anything
added in
else
after,
in the first 6
and
chapters?
it was kind of taken from Marcion, right?
Yeah.
You can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I just wanted to ask, because maybe I'm just looking at the telemetry part from an ignorant perspective. So I wanted to ask, when you used like a kind of smaller word count for the Pauline Gospels, I think it was, because the creator of the telemetry software of Stylo, says you need like around 2,500 words per sample for
Are you
reliable
talking about
answers.
Dr. Eater?
Yeah.
Dr. Eater, we have him on record saying that he could get accuracy at 100 words.
Oh, right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
what do you want to do?
well, I mean, to be honest, that's all really I had to ask. I just wanted to,
Okay.
clear things up, get stuff from your perspective, so I can get a better understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and as well in your book you did argue though that oh wait, sorry, someone entered my room.
Is that your mom?
No, that's my grandma.
I don't know if that's any better.
No, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why she's here, but anyway, you said in your book that you understand that using the smaller word count though could be described as kind of unscientific.
I mean, we were aware that people at that point in time had issues with those particular, or some people would have issues with the fact that it wasn't like massive because of the fact that things prior to us, generally speaking, would have really big file sizes or text sizes, word counts. People were kind of caught up in older math and older takes on this. Whereas, again, since our work has come out, we have actually seen where Eater has said that he gets accuracy, depending on the author, of course, down all the way to 100 words. So, yeah. But the biggest problem is not just it's not just that people don't keep up with what Eater has said. It's not just that. It's also that people pick and choose what parts of the stylometric analysis results that they like. Whenever we say, "Oh, Luke has 2 authors," they say, "Oh, that's bullshit." But whenever we say, "Oh, 1 John and John seem to be coming from the same author group," people say, "Yeah, that's perfectly fine." And they don't complain about that. They don't complain about the things that lines up with their beliefs. They complain about the things that don't line up with their beliefs. And they try to claim that the science is just wrong at that point. It's like, okay, well, how do we get all these things that you actually agree with? For instance, Luke 3 and Acts 3, they're written by the same author. Absolutely. And Christians would agree with that. Now, Luke 5 and Acts 5 are not from the same author, but Christians don't agree with that. They just kind of pick and choose. They're just so that tells you that they're trying to defend a particular position as opposed to actually approach this scientifically. When they're only attacking the things that they dislike, that means that they're actually just trying to defend their position as opposed to anything else.
Yeah, all right, yeah, I get that then. Thank you for that. And as well, in your book, you used kind of like, you claimed how a New Testament passage, kind of clusters with writings from the 2nd century from using stylo, but how would you have produced a date using stylo, like without kind of calibrating the software correctly?
I don't know what the fuck you're trying to say, and we did calibrate it. That's the idea. Whenever you're actually seeing the same results over and over, even when you don't, whenever you include a certain text or take out that text, that's when you're actually able to calibrate it. So in other words, let's say you're running 100 different files, and there's 5 different authors in there. If it splits to 5 different authors, and then you're like, okay, let me test that. And so you take out one of the files. So now you're running 99 files. If all of a sudden everything just jumbles up, then you know it's not getting a good read. Or if certain things bounce all around, depending on how you change your parameters, or if you take something out, you put something into the analysis, if something keeps bouncing all around because of that, that's indicative of the analysis or the software not getting a good read on it. So you can calibrate it in that way. You change the parameters a bit, you take things out, you put things in until you're able to see a consistent pattern. We didn't just run the analysis and just take something that looks like something we agree with and just throw it out and put it into a book. What we did was we ran it thousands of times, and you can actually tell the software to actually run it 1,000 times. You can tell it to run it 5,000 times and change things and all kinds of things, alter it until eventually it gets a really, really, really high confidence level of this is explicitly this particular author. Like you can do that. It can be calibrated, absolutely. And so what we put into the book is something that is indicative of what we saw on a routine, consistent basis. Because obviously we wouldn't be able to put thousands of runs into a book. That doesn't make any sense. So we're going to have to run it thousands of times and then put one of those runs in there and explain what we see. That's how that works. It's literally how anything could work. But yeah, that's how that works. If you want a little bit more on this particular topic, there was a book that came out from Dr. Benjamin White using the exact same software that we used, and it comes out the next year. It's called Counting Paul. So in 2025, Dr. Benjamin White used the exact same software we did, and actually was a little bit more coy with the information or the parameters that he used. We were a little bit more forthcoming with that. But anyways, the point is, he has a book on Paul where he says that it's nonsense to say that there's 7 authentic letters of Paul, and even if you did say that they're authentic, you wouldn't be able to say that they were Paul. And so he gets cited, as well as us, from scholar M. David Litva on the work of stilometry and Paul.
All right, yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's all I had to ask. All right, thanks.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
Oh, yeah, not a problem. Yeah, and then he left. All right. $5 from Ackle T. Ackle T, maybe? Over there on YouTube says, "You're a doofus" is not compelling historical evidence for Jesus, in my opinion. Yeah, well, calling me a doofus at least gets it on the board. Hey, we almost got a full 5 in one day. God damn. And remember, everybody, the streamer of the week is Bree. That is BRI. And if you can find some clever way to put Bree in the super chat, that'd be awesome. But Bree is the streamer of the week. She streams a lot about leaving a particular cult. Now, she didn't leave the cult like in the way that it's like I think I've told you guys before. When I think of Bree leaving the cult, I think of her like digging a fucking hole or something like that. Like a little mouse. Yeah, like a mouse. Yeah. Anyways, so and like digging out like under a fucking fence or something, or like climbing a barbed wire fence or something, like an electric fence. I don't know, but no, I think it's just she just kind of fucking left. It just kind of went somewhere else. But it wasn't like a compound. It wasn't a compound per se. Maybe, I don't know. You'll have to check it out. Bree is live. Go check it out. I don't know when she's live next. Usually she tries to go live at the same time as me. That's just kind of how that works.
And boom goes the dynamite.
All right. Brie is cool. Oh, hell yeah. They're from Polenta Forest, $2. Thank you very much. Polenta Forest, there we go. And hey, Polenta, I got the Cash App. Thank you very, very much. That means a lot to Matthew and I. We're going to definitely, we are trying. We are trying. We're trying to get that book out. I promise you we are trying. But let's see here. That's a Brie. There we go. Little second mark for Brie there. Looks kind of like little, little teeth, little teethers. All right. How would I say? How would you say? How would you say mouse teeth in Norwegian? Would that be? I don't know. Mustand? Mustandr? Or something? I don't know. I don't know if that's even a word. Donner of Musen or Musa? I don't know. Musen, I think. Is that Musen? Yeah, Musen. Yeah, okay. No, it's not Moosefeast. That would be like mouse farts. All right. No, moose is not moose. It's moose is elg. It's like an elk because they don't have elk over there. You just got moose. Actually, no, they do. Or no, they don't. They don't have it over in Norway. Elg is a moose. All right. Yeah, I think moose is it's a Native American word. That makes sense. Elg is what it is over there. But then we call elk, we call them something else. It's like a big deer over here in America. We call them elk. I'm not really sure why we do. It's really strange. Doesn't make a lot of sense. No, not no. An elk, like an elk. It's a North American deer, also known as wapiti. I've never heard it called that. Really, I think I knew that it was called that, but it's called something else. They're very different. They do not look like a moose. This is an elk, a North American elk. Yeah, does not look like a moose. I don't know what the fuck to call it. It's like a giant deer. That's basically all it is. They are massive too. They're the largest species in the deer family. Okay, yeah. I mean, they are big. Moose are big too, but like I've seen like an elk like right in front of me, like to where I could reach out my hand, like a wild one, just walking through a campsite. God damn. I mean, almost just terrifying almost. Okay. $1.99 there from the prototype says, "Brie my lemon." Yeah, that checks out. That checks out. Do I have that sound? I think I got that sound. It's somewhere on there. But let's see. Brie. There we go. There we go. There we go.
Squeeze my lemon.
Moose are way bigger than elk. Oh yeah, moose are bigger than elk, but they're both. I wouldn't want either one of them after me. Have those here in the mountains of Arizona. Yeah, I believe there's some elk in Texas, I think. Yes, they do live in Texas, over in far west Texas, though. We have the meat giant. Yeah. Oh, I'm aware.
Arby's, we have the meat.
Yeah, if you play Red Dead, you would know. Oh, hell yeah. They do have cool booing sounds. Ah, Mr. Bree joke. Oh, yes, you did. Also, $2 from Cameron Vinaroso. So hashtag raccoon buttholes and also hashtag mouth fart. No, mouse. Not mouth fart. Is that... No. Anyways. I'm back. I assume Jaren has converted to Mormonism. I have. Yeah. Elk are pretty cool, though. All right. BRB. Okay. If you got any evidence for Jesus or Paul, come on up. There's those Mormon ads that got him. What Mormon ads? What was kind of funny? So there's this big pushback on YouTube a long time ago about Mormonism or for Mormonism, and the slogan for this, or the catchphrase or whatever slogan, I think, for the campaign was "And I'm a Mormon." And I'm a Mormon. Do you guys remember that? It's "And I'm a Mormon." Now, the reason they were saying, they were basically like just kind of say that they're normal everyday people, like they're not weird or something. They were basically trying to downplay the whole like cult persona kind of thing. And I get it. I get where they were coming from, but the way that they did it, like if they weren't careful, they would come across even worse, because it was basically like videos of someone saying, "Oh, I'm a mom. I take my kids to soccer, and I fucking drive a minivan because like fucking duh, like, and I drink my coffee." Or no, well, I guess I don't drink the coffee, but they're like, "Oh, I enjoy hanging out and playing with my friends and all like just normal shit," and then say, "And I'm a Mormon," like at the end, and it's like trying to portray them as like mammals, but like it comes across as like, "Hey, I do all these normal things and I'm a Mormon," like as if like a Mormon's not supposed to do those things, like almost like that's an opposite of everything that I've said so far. And I'm a Mormon, like, so it just made it sound even worse. It made it sound more like a cult, especially since they all said the same thing at the end of it. Yeah, I get that's the slogan, but it's so weird. Look, if your religion has to have ads, your religion's not really that good, is it? Like, if you think about it, like, there should be no ads for religions. Like, it can, freedom of speech and all, but like, you know what I mean? And I'm an alcoholic. Yeah. It's giving hello, fellow humans. But the Jehovah's Witnesses love their ads. I don't even know if I even remember any. We got Joe Schmo in the chat, who said something about, said the amount of time this guy spends on here. He said guys spends, so it's not even like proper English. The amount of time this guys spends on here trying to discredit Christianity is a testament some deeper bitterness. A testament to some deeper. Jesus Christ, dude, learn how to spell. First thing Christians need to do is learn how to read. Then they need to learn how to spell. M typing fast, period, Crimea River. You don't have to type at all if you actually like accepted the invites. That way you could stop chirping in the chat and actually come up here and present your case. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and mute you for the entire live. I'm going to send you an invite. You can't comment anymore, but you can come up. Jesus Christ, dude, it's not that hard. Oh, he accepted there for a second and then just dropped back down. Here, I'll send you another invite.
And boom goes the dynamite.
He's sensitive. Yeah, well, yeah. That checks out.
I said, bitch.
I'm sorry, Charlie Murphy. I was typing too fast. All right. No debates? Yeah, no one's coming up. Should I do a restart there on TikTok? I can do a restart there on TikTok. We can see what happens. I can do a restart on both. What do you think over there on YouTube? Should I do a restart on YouTube? On both. Aaron would say yes if he were here. Okay. All right. We'll do it. I'll see you guys in a little bit.